hour, Giannis Antetokounmpo's got 30 points, yet the Bucks find themselves trailing the Magic in their playoff opener. Milwaukee's down 112-102, 3:25 to go in the fourth quarter. The Celtics have taken a major injury hit. Boston forward Gordon Hayward is expected to miss about 4 weeks with a sprained right ankle. Lakers ready to play their first playoff game in 7 years tonight when they open up against the Trailblazers. Thanks to the superhuman play of Damian Lillard, Portland on a roll, 7-2 the last 9 games, heading into Game 1 against Danny Green and the Lakers.
They're one of the hottest teams in the bubble besides Phoenix. They've been playing really well as a group. They got the chemistry. So we have to, match that energy, find our chemistry as well, but play better defense. We got to try to find a way to contain them, stop them a little bit, and also offensively run, try to attack them, make them play defense.
Danny Green with Janae and Mike Golick Jr. Rockets will be without injured guard Russell Westbrook for Game 1 against the Thunder. 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Eric Gordon will start in his place. Stanley Cup playoffs, game number 4. Flyers leading the Canadiens 1-0, second period.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And the break.
Hey, the brain got a poop.
Oh, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Man, we got a lot to delve into. SEC schedule is out. Randy Wade set to join us in 15 minutes. That is provided he sends me his cell phone number. Randy Wade is the father of Sean Wade, an Ohio State defensive back, and Randy Wade has made it known. He's actually tweeted out a picture of his ticket. He's flying to the Big Ten offices on Friday to have a face-to-face with Kevin Warren, their commissioner. There are attorneys involved. There is a lot of poo-poo going on in the Big Ten. I mean, there is chaos. You have athletic directors, administrators, coaches, players, parents, all demanding answers. In the Pac-12, you've got probably just a lot of people getting high that don't really care. Meanwhile, in the SEC, it's beginning to look a lot like football. SEC schedule released last evening. We knew that LSU was going to open against Mississippi State. And what we now know is what the full schedule looks like after it was announced last evening. Tigers will, in fact, open up against Mississippi State. And the rest of the slate, I think, is favorable for LSU. That's actually the same word that Ed Ogeron used today when he described the schedule on a Zoom teleconference with the media. But as we mentioned, Mississippi State to open, road game against Vanderbilt, and then October the 10th at home against Missouri. So we already know opening week line, LSU 18.5-point favorite against Mississippi State. So even for all the reasons I discussed yesterday, why I like the Mississippi State opener, first game of the Mike Leach era, Bo Pelini back at LSU, how does that transition to the 4-3 do? How does it look against Mississippi State? Brennan's first game, KJ Costello's first game as a grad transfer from Stanford. You have so much intrigue, defending national champions, so much intrigue and storyline in that game. LSU is going to win the game, but it's a really cool way to start the season. And then you get Vandy and Missouri. What the SEC did was basically give LSU the tune-up period. How most teams spend September, maybe playing that one marquee non-conference game, but really you're talking about a bunch of layups before you get into conference play. Effectively, that's what the SEC gave LSU. Here's State, Vandy, and Missouri to get your sea legs under you. We know it's kind of been an awkward offseason. Figure it out here over the first 3 weeks. and then go to Florida, and let's see how that works. So after Mississippi State, Vandy, Missouri, LSU's at Florida, home against South Carolina, and at Auburn. By far the most difficult stretch of LSU's season is that 3-game stretch right there. You go at Florida, home against Carolina, at Auburn. I do like that you've got the 3-week ramp up before you go to Florida. I like that you come off of the Florida game with a home game against SC where you'll be favored. And you do get that home game against SC before you have to go to Auburn. But again, 2 road games, Florida, Auburn in 3 weeks. That's a brutal stretch, but I think it's manageable. After Auburn, LSU gets the bye before their home against Alabama on November the 14th. So the Bama game pushed back a week from November the 7th to November the 14th, but both LSU and Bama get their bye before that game on November the 14th in Baton Rouge. The thing that I hated about the previous schedule, was how November looked for LSU. Hated that it was 4 straight conference games. Well, that doesn't matter now because they're all conference games. But it was 4 straight conference games that included Bama and road games against Auburn and Texas A&M to finish. That was a brutal way to finish the schedule. This is a more manageable 4-game stretch after your bye to finish. You've still got Alabama coming off the bye. Then you go to Arkansas, which is going to be a terrible football team this year. You've got to go to Texas A&M. And then you're home against Ole Miss. So, yes, you have back-to-back road games, Arkansas and A&M, but that's a much more manageable back-to-back road games swing than going to Auburn and to A&M to finish the schedule. I'd rather to Arkansas, to A&M, and then finish up at home against Ole Miss. So, all in all, I think LSU got a good draw. It's hard to argue to the contrary. The other thing that's obvious is it wasn't just LSU. It's really all of the contenders that the SEC kind of gave that, I'll call it a tune-up period. Call it whatever you want, but gave them that opportunity to dip their toe in the water. Alabama opens at Missouri, home against A&M, then at Ole Miss before playing Georgia. So the same week that LSU and Florida play, Bama and Georgia play. That's week 4. So all of the contenders are there in week 4 after sort of a 3-week tune-up. Georgia's tune-up is a little more intense. They're at Arkansas, but then they're home against Auburn, home against Tennessee. Then they play Bama. That's a 3rd straight really tough SEC game in a row. So I think A&M has a brutal slate. One of the things that when we talked about with the previous schedule that we really liked about A&M and about Florida was the schedule played out well for a veteran team. A&M this year, though, they pick up Florida, and now when you look at the first month of the season, A&M opens with Vandy, and then they've got to go to Bama, home against Florida, at Mississippi State. I mean, whereas we legit could have been talking about Texas A&M if they had gotten past in their previous schedule, if they got past Auburn, they legitimately could have gotten to the final 2 weeks of the season at 10-0 with home games against Bama and LSU. And it's like, all right, let's see if you're ready. This is brutal. Week 2 at Bama. And then home against Florida. State, open date, Arkansas, South Carolina, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and then the brutal finish still. Home against LSU, at Auburn. So A&M certainly didn't get done any favors with the way that their schedule lays out. I like what the SEC did there. They did their best interspersing the open dates over a 3-week period. Everybody's open date is either the 6th, 7th, or 8th week of the season. The 5th, 6th, or 7th. 5th, 6th, or 7th week of the season. So I like that. Everybody plays 10 games over 11 weeks with December the 12th as an open date as well before the championship on the 19th, which gives you a buffer if you need to make up a game there in advance of the SEC championship game. I like how the SEC laid it out. One of the really perplexing things, though, And if you ever wondered just how intense it really is playing in the SEC, oddsmaker betonline.ag has set the regular season win totals for all 14 SEC teams, and they project none to go undefeated, and they project none to have one loss. This is staggering from BetOnline. Now, I've seen other odds makers. OddsShark has Bama at 9, Georgia at 8.5, LSU at 8. But I'm looking here at BetOnline, regular season win totals for the 14 SEC teams. And BetOnline has Alabama over under 7.5. They're basically saying Bama's either going to be 8-2 or 7-3. They got Georgia and Florida at 7 and LSU at 6.5. Same as A&M, 6.5. I will be fascinated to see if this holds. For what it's worth, OddsShark has LSU at 8, but BetOnline has LSU at 6.5, meaning they're projecting 6-4, 7-3. You ever wondered the sincerity of trying to play an all SEC schedule, 10 conference games, and how difficult it is to manage that type of a stretch, even if you're going to be with limited or no fans? There you have it right there. Odds makers out in Vegas don't build big, shiny buildings because they make a habit of being wrong. That is fascinating to see those numbers play out. Buckle up, y'all. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but it's going to be an awful lot of fun. We got the SEC schedule released, and we're going to be playing football in the Southeast in a little more than a month from right now. They will not be doing that, however, in the Big Ten, barring something completely unforeseen, which may very well happen this week. We are scheduled to be joined next by Randy Wade, who's the father of Sean Wade, Ohio State defensive back. And Randy Wade is putting it out there. He's going up to the Big Ten office this weekend with a host of other Big Ten parents trying to get answers from the Big Ten commissioner, Kevin Warren, about why in the world they're not playing football. Randy Wade's set to join us next, provided he sends me his phone number. It's after further review.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Ichiban, Essen near Perkins, Airline Highway in Gonzales. Make tonight an Ichiban night. Find your favorite specialty roll. Freshest fish, most creative specialty rolls. And you know what? Even if you don't want to dine in, carry-out's available right now at Ichiban. So, I mean, it's always available, but you can do curbside takeaway. If you log on to ichibanbr.com, top right-hand corner, order online, tap that tab. You can place your order. You can have it ready for you based on whatever time that you want to pick it up, and you can pay for it online. So you show up, they bring it to your car, and you're headed home with a great meal from Ichiban. Find your favorite specialty roll. Maybe it's the Aphrodite roll. Shrimp tempura, cream cheese, cucumber and mango wrapped in soy paper topped with snow crab, strawberry kiwi, strawberry cream sauce, and toasted coconut flakes. Find your favorite specialty roll tonight at Ichiban. Essen or Airline, make tonight an Ichiban night.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you. Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This isn't just another day.
It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Citizens Bank is proud to bring you the Fan of the Week. But during these times with no fans, Citizens Bank is switching its support to the Banking on BR campaign to raise money for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. You can help out by visiting brfoodbank.org or bankingonbr.com.
1,790.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call for a free quote to see how much you can save. 293-0450. After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Hey, stop overpaying for your insurance. Call Insurance Network of Louisiana. Let them shop for free. 293-0450. 293-0450 or lainsurance.net. Title sponsor of our Tuesday shows. I apologize. I probably shouldn't have even teased it, but I communicated via Twitter DM earlier today with Randy Wade. Randy Wade is the father of Sean Wade, who's a starting defensive back at Ohio State. And earlier today, Randy has been very vocal about the Big Ten's decision to not play this year while other leagues, such as the SEC, are playing. And he has done so and been very vocal. And he tweeted earlier today, "See you early Friday morning. We got to fight. We can't let these young men fight alone." And he tweeted his confirmation of his flight. I mean, he tweeted a picture of his confirmation for his flight from Orlando to Chicago. He's flying to Chicago this weekend to go to the Big Ten offices to meet with Athletic Director Kevin Warren. So I don't know if this movement afoot from the Big Ten is going to net the result that they hope, because, and I'm admittedly here, I'm giving you sort of an educated guess, but my feeling is, how in the world, if you're a Big Ten president, can you backtrack when your reasoning for postponing the season was health and safety of our student athletes? How in the world can you backtrack from that, barring something completely unforeseen? I mean, the Big Ten theoretically had all the same information that the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12 had. And they chose to latch on to the angle of myocarditis being an effect of COVID-19 as the reason that they're pulling back. And obviously, even though they wouldn't say it, it's a liability issue. So here you have parents saying, let us sign a liability waiver. Sean Wade, who I referenced, said, quote, and this is in an interview he did with ESPN, said, quote, "Okay, if that's the only thing that you're concerned about, let us sign a waiver. That's simple. The NCAA, retract what they said. Let us sign a waiver." You have the parent of a player saying, let us sign a waiver. You've had hundreds of parents sign letters sent to the Big Ten, essentially saying, let us sign a waiver. We'll sign the waiver. We're good. And what you've heard from the Big Ten? Nothing. Crickets. Silence. And if you think this is bad, wait until October when the SEC, ACC, Big 12, AAC, Sun Belt, Conference USA tee it up, kick it off, and you're playing football. I mean, you have some games starting September the 12th. Less than a month, 3 weeks. 3 weeks. You're going to have college football playing. And the wealthiest conference in college football is going to be sitting on the sideline. Historic programs like Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, sitting on the sideline. Because why? And they can't get an answer. And so you have this incredible contrast and this incredible pressure that's being heaped upon the Big Ten presidents right now and the commissioner, Kevin Warren. You've got Justin Fields, your most prominent player, starting a petition that's got over, in less than a day, had 250,000 signatures. I haven't looked today, lately. I don't know where Justin Fields' petition is at, but your most prominent player wants to starts a petition and gets, over 250,000. Let's see, I have it right here. Justin Fields, the petition is at presently 273,329 signatures. So you got over 250,000 signatures in the span of 48 hours. You've got parents sending letters to the Big Ten demanding answers. You've got some parents hopping on jet planes and flying up to Chicago to meet face-to-face with Kevin Warren, and you actually have attorneys involved now. Tom Mars, is an attorney that has dealt with a lot of sports law over the years. Some high-profile cases. He handled Houston Nutt's defamation lawsuit. Maybe that's the most infamous one that you'd know from around these parts. Well, Thomas Mars was on Sirius XM Big Ten Radio, and I'm going to warn you, fair warning, this is about a 2-minute clip. It's long, but I didn't want to cut it down because the whole thing is pointed. And this is the impression of attorney. Now, attorneys, understand, look, I grew up with one. My dad's an attorney. Attorneys, they're slick talking, and they're almost like pro wrestlers in the sense that they tell you what's going to happen, and then they go try to do it, right? It's never like the optimistic view. It's like, this is what's going to happen. And that's intentional, to sound confident, to be convincing of a jury or of a judge. So you're going to hear a lot of that. But listen to what this attorney who's representing these Big Ten parents is saying about the pressure he is prepared to put on the Big Ten Conference.
It's not going to work for anybody to hide behind the FERPA law or any other law. And what's more, I'm not sure that Big Ten knows this, but one way or the other, the players and the parents are going to get their hands on at least most of the information that was available to the Big Ten when they voted on this decision. If they did vote, maybe they didn't. Then people might wonder, how are they going to do that? It's not only simple, it's the next step in the process. And I'm actually on the verge of coordinating a massive request for emails, text messages, presentations, and financial analyses from all member institutions in the Big Ten, and they'll be required to produce those under the Freedom of Information statutes. So what's going to happen next? Well, one of two things. First, the member institutions will either resist or they'll say we don't have anything, and that'll create a whole different set of problems for them. Or they'll produce the information and allow the parents and the players and all the stakeholders and fans to interpret, and sports writers, by the way. It's probably not a good idea for the commissioner to let that information be produced piecemeal that way and then let all the fans and all the critics, all the sports writers, all the players and parents interpret that information as best they can. Why wouldn't the commissioner proactively release that information and explain it and put it in context? One of the things I learned a long time ago when I was at Walmart is that transparency is the foundation of legitimacy. And given the really inexplicable lack of transparency by the Big Ten since making its decision, it's no wonder that people are questioning the decision to cancel fall football. And in my view, the longer Kevin Warren resists calls for transparency, the more likely it is that he's going to have a very short tenure as college football commissioner.
Attorney Tom Mars, representing parents of Big Ten student athletes. I mean, he's right in the discovery phase. Freedom of Information Act, in the same way that I or you, anybody, could petition for a release of documents, state institution. Yep. Texts, emails, phone records, all of it. So what he's saying is, look, you can either be transparent now, or we're going to get all this information, and little by little, we'll all sift through it. Attorneys, media, parents, fans, everybody. And then you're going to have the inability to control the message. And that has been the starkest contrast between the SEC and the Big Ten. And I say the SEC because it's very clear that the SEC is the drum major here of the schools and the conferences that are going to play. The SEC is leading the way. The ACC, the Big 12 are in line, and then all the other ones that are attached at the hip are following too. But Greg Sankey, who had his struggles early in his tenure as SEC commissioner, most notably the very public bickering between LSU and Florida in 2016. Greg Sankey right now looks like the definitive voice of college football, something that Mike Slive unquestionably was during his tenure. And Greg Sankey has emerged into here as he has been very patient and transparent, and the SEC's had a plan. Something we'll talk about in a little bit is fans in the stands, because the SEC today released their plan for that. Notice everything that the SEC has done, they've had a plan. And by the way, I don't think for 1 second that I would minimize the importance of Herb Vincent in that role. Herb Vincent was that PR czar at LSU for many years. And Mike Slive was very wise in hiring Herb Vincent away from LSU to have him do that for the Southeastern Conference. And I think he's been invaluable in that role to the league. But just think about the stark contrast. Not just that one league is moving forward to play and another isn't. Think about how the public perception is turned because of the manner in which this has all been handled. Like, listen to Greg Sankey. This was Greg Sankey last night on the SEC Network when they had the schedule announcement. He was asked why, this is too brain if I could. He was asked why the SEC has not canceled their season the way that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and other leagues have.
There are reasons that each conference has offered for its decision-making, and we've certainly offered our own. You look at the Pac-12's announcement almost a week ago about local conditions, about testing challenges, and then about the work to understand the health realities around COVID. We've worked on those same issues. We are working to secure a third-party entity to help support our testing program, have common testing across all 14 programs. That's obviously not inexpensive, but that's our commitment to support student athletes. We want to see improving health within our communities. The trend lines have been better in the last few days, perhaps over the last week, but as our campuses return, that's been an incredibly important part of our decision-making process, and that needs to be done in a healthy manner. I'm concerned over some of the images I saw over the weekend, whether that will allow us to play football, and that has to be on everyone's mind. But we intentionally have set our schedule to begin well after our classes started across the conference to allow people to come back and assimilate, we hope, into campus community in a healthy way, and then move forward with college football.
We scheduled our season to begin for that reason. Everything looks like it has a plan. SEC shining, y'all. Greg Sankey is shining bright right now. And my guess is the Big Ten is longing for the days of Jim Delaney, who was a very stoic leader in college football for many, many years. And his replacement is struggling out the blocks. All right, that's further review. Glad you're with us here. Brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana. We'll go around the SEC when we come back. Glad you're hanging out. Stick around.
AFR.
NBA playoffs going down right now. Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Dine in or carry out. 24 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings. Ice-cold draft beer. Full-service bar. Sports on TV. You can watch NBA playoffs. Just chock-full, wall-to-wall NBA playoffs at Pluckers. Or if you're jacked that Major League Baseball's back, but you don't have MLB TV and you want to watch your favorite out-of-market games, well, they're all out-of-market games because we live in Baton Rouge. Get by Pluckers. Nicholson just south of campus. Or Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Hard Knocks, watch that at Pluckers too. Football's right around the corner. Watch that at Pluckers too. Or just go belly up to the bar, order a whole mess of wings, and just indulge in wings and beer and sports. It's Tuesday, and every Tuesday at Pluckers, kids eat free. So if you want an opportunity to get out of the house, don't we all need that right now? This is an affordable way to do it for the whole family. Nicholson or Bluebonnet, dine in or carry out. Remember, it's Pluckers, where if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get into a new Camry for $239 per month or take 0% financing for 6 years. $239 per month or 0% for 6 years. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas. Happy Town, USA.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This is big. Really big. I mean really, really, really big. Because Honda's summer clearance event is going on right now at Richards Honda. With 0 to the 4th power on brand new Honda Civics. That's 0 down, 0 due at signing, 0 security deposit, and 0 first month payment. Plus, summer clearance on every new vehicle in stock. Just another reason why people call Richards Honda the smart choice. I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
Do you know the proper way to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in your office? We do. We're Jani-King, a leader in the cleaning industry for over 30 years, and we've developed comprehensive programs to address proper cleaning and disinfection. We have experience in applying disinfecting programs in hospitals, office buildings, schools, and other venues. Now we're ready to help and able to assist customers that need disinfecting services.
Jani-King, the king of clean.
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
34.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call for a free quote to see how much you can save. 293-0450. After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We'll talk SEC schedule with Cole Cubelic to start hour 3. Bobby Carpenter will join us as well, former Ohio State linebacker. He'll be with us in hour 3 to talk about what's going on in the Big Ten, the possibility of potentially getting a season back online. Also does great work with ESPN. So Bobby Carpenter and Cole Cubelic both with us in hour 3. SEC today has announced that their health and safety guidelines for fans at football games this year. So the operative word there or statement there is fans at football games. If you've been asking the question over and over, are there going to be fans at football games? Why would the SEC painstakingly go through this process of putting out all of these protocols if they weren't intending on having fans at games this year? What I've said all along is you've got people who are trying to find a yes, and they're working together to find the best practices to get to a yes, and this is another example of it. The SEC is fully intending to have fans because, as we've talked about, the TV revenue, although people like to talk about that, and it is large, is not enough to fund and to completely make up for lost gate revenue. So whatever gate revenue these programs can make up, they're going to take. If it's a socially distanced Tiger Stadium that has 18,000 people in it, LSU is going to sell 18,000 tickets because that's 18,000 butts in seats. That's 18,000 people buying concessions and paying to park. And when you are trying to make up a gigantic budgetary shortfall, whatever number that is of revenue you can make up, you absolutely take it because it lessens the budget shortfall you have. So maybe by the time we get to September 26th, Louisiana's in phase 3 and they can open it up to fans, or farther than that, you can have 50% capacity. I don't know what it's going to look like, but the bottom line is they're preparing for fans. And like we just talked about in the last segment, the SEC is being very measured in their approach, where it's not just throwing out a decision. It's announcing a decision and the very thoughtful work that went into making that decision. For example, attendance. Institutions can determine attendance based on state and local guidelines. The SEC saying, we're not going to tell you how many people you can have. That's up to you, along with, of course, with your state and local guidelines. Face coverings, masks. Face coverings are required as a condition of all guests, ingress, egress, and movement throughout the stadium, as well as anytime guests are unable to maintain the recommended physical distance from others. What that means is if you're going in the stadium, coming out of the stadium, or you're in concession lines or bathrooms where you're around other people, or if you're in the stadium where you can't socially distance, you need a mask. But if you're in the stadium and you're around your direct family and no one else within 6 feet, you can take your mask off. But they're basically saying coming in, going out, or walking around the stadium, you got to have a mask on. Okay, that's manageable. Food and beverage. I mean, they have everything. Like, when you look at the way that they laid all of this out, I mean, everything has been considered. Food, beverage, and merchandise. Barriers, plexiglass shall be installed. Queuing lines at the point of sale, permitting physical distancing between guests. Grab-and-go food and beverage options will be available. Beverages provided directly to guests, so no machines where you can go vending machines where you can go fill up your drink. Condiments only a single serve, so you can't have the big condiment cart where it's got like the tub of ketchup or whatever. Portable points of sale locations strategically placed to ensure physical distancing, so like kiosks. I mean, everything that they've thought of, like the gate ingress and egress, coming and going. Signage in parking lots, pedestrian pass to the stadium. Like, look at this. Paul, pull this up if you would. Like, look at this whole thing. Guest shuttles, plans for disinfection, symptomatic guests. I mean, everything has been considered. Even to, like, the premium seats, the suites in the clubs. Suite hopping is prohibited. I mean, you can't go from suite to suite. They need signage to promote furniture in the suites has to be socially distanced. I mean, it's just everything has been completely thought of and considered, even to like restrooms, team walks, tailgating. People asking about tailgating. Institutions can determine that, whether they're permitting large gathering of guests. Like, that's completely up to the schools. Consideration should be given as the time parking lots open. My point is, if you're trying to make a presentation to your state or local officials. Like, let's say ultimately, if LSU is going to allow tailgating, it's going to be in conjunction with the city of Baton Rouge and the state of Louisiana, okay? If you go to the mayor's office and say, Mayor, here's our plan, and it's this giant thing that would print out 8-point font, like 10 pages, this is our plan. It shows, okay, you've given this a tremendous amount of thought, and you've done everything you can to minimize the risk of fans, and you also know with a limited number of people, you're going to have a limited number of fans, so the risk isn't going to be as big. You're more likely to get a yes, as opposed to, hey, Mayor, can we tailgate this year? SEC's done a great job, man. They deserve a tremendous amount of credit for the way they've managed the entire situation. All right, tap to further review. Go around the SEC in just a second. Let me remind you about GMFS Mortgage and GMFSmortgage.com. Changing lives since 1999. Saw on LinkedIn earlier today my buddy Doug Bickley, who's our lender, celebrating 12 years as a loan officer at GMFS Mortgage. Guy's been awesome, man. He's been awesome for us to work with. We've watched his career and his team there at GMFS grow. But if it's Doug here in Baton Rouge or any of the other great agents who you've heard here on this show or any of the agents all over the state of Louisiana, GMFS Mortgage can help change your life. If you're buying a home, building a home, or right now, I will continue to hammer this message. Refinancing your mortgage. Interest rates are at historic lows. If your rate is above a 4, or if you don't know what your rate is, please call GMFS Mortgage. Log on to gmfsmortgage.com. Get in touch with a local loan officer near you and go through this process. It's pain-free. They will do all the work, but you have to initiate. You have to call them or get in touch with that local loan officer to see if they can save you money by lowering your monthly mortgage payment, maybe even saving money by, if you refinance, you get to skip a payment or two. So many ways that you can do that to give you some financial relief, but it starts online, gmfsmortgage.com. All right, it's after further review. We do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Tennessee Volunteers.
The Knoxville lawyer representing Tennessee football offensive lineman Cade Mays says he's optimistic that Mays will win his appeal for an NCAA transfer waiver. NCAA denied Mays' initial bid for a transfer waiver, and Tennessee is appealing. Mays is 6'6", 328. Started 18 games in 2 seasons at Georgia, played all 5 offensive line positions. The initial waiver rejection leaves the Vols' offensive line in limbo because Mays, a former 5-star recruit coming out of Knoxville, was a projected starter for Tennessee if he's granted this waiver. Mays' father, Kevin, is a former first-team All-FCC offensive guard for Tennessee.
The Florida Gators.
Florida's got a big problem at wide receiver. Junior Trevon Grimes, senior Kadarius Toney, and redshirt sophomore Jacob Copeland. Only Florida wide receivers with any significant playing time, and all 3 were no-shows at Florida's first practice on Monday. If they decide to sit out the season and opt out because of COVID, the Gators would be down to 7 scholarship wide receivers, 2 of whom are transfers that are still awaiting their eligibility waiver and don't know if they're going to be able to play this year. Grimes, Toney, and Copeland are the projected starters. If they elect not to play, the only experienced wideout that Florida would have would be senior Rick Wells, who in his career has caught a grand total of 3 passes for Florida. Meanwhile, the Gators are not spending the first 2 weeks staying in a hotel, bonding as a team, obviously because of COVID-19.
The Missouri Tigers.
Eli Drinkwitz says he's not naming a Missouri starting quarterback and won't do it publicly, ever. We'll find out when they play Alabama in their opener on September the 26th. Mizzou's got 4 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster. Junior Taylor Powell and redshirt freshman Connor Bazelak played some last year for Missouri. Meanwhile, junior Sean Robinson has started 7 games in his career, all at TCU in 2018.
The Auburn Tigers.
And JUCO cornerback Kamal Hayden has committed to Auburn. 13th commit for the class of 2021. Chose Auburn over Kentucky, Nebraska, Texas Tech, UCF, Washington State, and West Virginia. Not ranked in the 247 composite, but 247 does rank him as the 5th best JUCO cornerback in the country and a 3-star member of the class of 2021. There you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. They're online at gcopnet.com. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. Check out our friends. If you need your business to be more efficient, Gulf Coast Office Products can make that happen. Copiers, scanners, fax machines, all-in-ones, interactive whiteboard. They have it all, and they have offices in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Lafayette. So no matter where you are in Louisiana, they got you covered at Gulf Coast Office Products. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, y'all, it's after further review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll wrap up hour number 1. We will let you hear from Ed Ogeron in about 15 minutes. A projected starter has left the LSU football team. We'll get to that in about 15 minutes from right now. Cole Cubelic to start hour number 3 as we get Cole's thoughts from an SEC standpoint on the schedule that was announced last evening. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on a Tuesday edition of AFR here in Baton Rouge. Stick around on AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about our friends over at the Baton Rouge General Hospital because they have bent over backwards in every way possible to live up to their oath to protect our community, and they've done an incredible job. If you need COVID-19 information, brgeneral.org. Look, while COVID-19 has overwhelmed so many in the healthcare industry, the Baton Rouge General Hospital has continued to offer all of their healthcare services. They've reopened the ER at the Mid-City location. So now you have 2 emergency rooms in the greater Baton Rouge area with the Baton Rouge General Hospital. The Ascension Neighborhood Hospital, no waiting, online registration. Check it out at brgeneral.org. So if you're in Ascension Parish, they've got you covered. Hey, look, maybe you don't need an emergency room. They've got their express care locations. If you need to get in and out quickly for something, even if it's a COVID test, brgeneral.org, or on their mobile app. It's Baton Rouge General Hospital, brgeneral.org, part of the Mayo Clinic Care Network.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Divorce is hard. Divorce is messy. Divorce is exhausting. The law offices of O.C. Brown walked me through my divorce and helped me find the right solution for me, my kids, my finances, and my property.
Call the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime.
Hello?
What's up, E? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up! Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up! Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Here you go.
All right.
Top speed.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call for a free quote to see how much you can save. 293-0450. After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1. We're brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana, and glad to have you hanging out with us here. So some disappointing news for the New Orleans Saints. We learned that Andrus Peat was not at practice on Monday. We now know why. Ian Rappaport of NFL Media reporting Saints Pro Bowl guard Andrus Peat, who is sidelined with what was termed a hand injury, has a broken thumb. His timetable for return is unclear. Some of it will depend on if he needs surgery to repair it, but Peat hasn't been ruled out for the opener. So the end of that was sort of the key part, because a short time later, Jay Glazer tweeted that it was good news on Andrus Peat's injured thumb or broken thumb, that they do expect him back within 2 weeks. So Peat, broken thumb, out for a couple of weeks. That means he'll be back at the beginning of September on that timeline, which means you'd have about a week or so before the season opener to hopefully get him back into shape, or hopefully he can stay in as good a football shape as you possibly can while you're not, playing football, but still doing football-related things, which you should be able to do with an injured thumb. So Andrus Peat out with that injured thumb. The really the interesting thing about this is, obviously with Peat out, Nick Easton slid into that spot. And Nick Easton did this last year when Andrus Peat had the broken forearm. Missed multiple weeks with the broken forearm last year, and Easton stepped up and actually played really well, which was encouraging because Nick Easton was the free agent acquisition when Max Unger retired. And you got Easton down from Minnesota thinking he'll be your starting center, and it never really materialized, and it necessitated Eric McCoy being your starting center from jump and playing every game last year at center for New Orleans. But when Peat went down and Easton played, he actually played better than most would have anticipated. But I couldn't help but think with this news how lucky the Saints are. Lucky is probably not the right word, but how important it is now that they've drafted Cesar Ruiz. Because if you didn't have Ruiz there at right guard, Easton would likely be there. I mean, you'd likely have Eric McCoy at center, Nick Easton at right guard, and Andrus Peat at left guard. So with Peat out, you'd be vacant at that guard spot. And your options would either be Will Clapp, Cam Tom, or Patrick Omameh. That would basically be your options there. And look, as an LSU guy, everyone's pulling for Will Clapp. There's no question. And I hope he makes the team and does great. And look, Cam Tom is a Baton Rouge kid who went to Catholic High and went to Southern Miss. And, they've been really high on him. But he had an injury last year that sort of derailed him, and his career hasn't really gotten off the ground. And then Omameh is sort of that veteran guy hanging around, but I don't think anyone expects him to be a star player. So the fact that you've got Cesar Ruiz right there is a major boost already, regardless of if he's playing center or guard. And Sean Payton said he's going to cross-train there. And you expect to have Andrus Peat back, but Peat at times in his career has been injury-prone. So this is a somewhat of an insurance policy anyway there as well for Andrus Peat. One other quick note. This is from the NFL Transaction Wire. The Saints are working out 5 free agents. So they worked out 5 free agents after Monday's practice. They do not practice Tuesday. They'll be back on the field Wednesday, and they'll have 6 straight days of work. But they're off today, Tuesday. Of the 5 free agents, most notable is Jack Lampman, if you remembered him. Lampman was an undrafted free agent who signed with the Saints in 2016 out of Ferris State. Started the season on the practice squad, was released, and then the Bucs picked him up, and he hung around Tampa Bay for a couple of years. They're also trying out a whole bunch of tight ends. A.J. Derby, initially a 6th-round pick of the Patriots, who spent some time with New Orleans in the preseason in 2019. 3 other tryout players, all tight ends. Ethan Wolf, Donnie Ernsberger. I have no idea who Donnie Ernsberger is. Sounds way too much like a New Kids on the Block member. And then Ryan O'Malley. Those 3 have played a combined 4 regular season games. Bottom line is, right now, Saints without Josh Hill for much of training camp due to what's being designated as an unspecified injury, and you had 2 tight ends opt out because of COVID, you basically have Jared Cook, Adam Troutman, and Tommy Stevens, who's a converted quarterback. So I don't think any of these guys are going to make the team or even a challenge to make the practice squad, But you need bodies right now at that position. And so that's why they're working out a herd of these guys to see who can come in and give them reps right now, meaningful reps during camp and be a training camp body. So that's where the Saints are right now with workouts and with Andrus Peat as well. All right, it's After Further Review. We're wrapping up hour number 1, brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, Ed Ogeron had a Zoom conference with members of the media today. Was able to listen in on that. We'll let you hear some of what Coach O had to say. Notably, a starting defensive player, not Kerry Vincent, who has left the team. I'll tell you about that when we come back right after SportsCenter as we kick off hour 2 of AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. WilliamsonEYE.com. I was talking to Brain after the show yesterday, and Brain wears glasses. And I said, Brain, have you ever thought about getting rid of glasses and having LASIK? Yeah, I have, I guess. And ultimately, sometimes we kind of get complacent. We just get used to life with glasses or with contacts. It just becomes part of what you do. I was that guy for 30 years, man. Glasses when I was, I think, in the 4th grade, and then contacts shortly thereafter, and had them forever until 2 years ago. LASIK is life-changing. You can't fully appreciate being able to see without contacts or glasses until you sit up on that table for the first time after LASIK and you can see the clock. And everything keeps getting better from there. If you are tired of living your life with glasses or contacts, or if you're not sure if you are, trust me, go for that free consultation. 924-2020. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEYE.com.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, you can get into a new Highlander for $4,000 off MSRP. Yes, $4,000 off MSRP, and we have many in stock. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas. Happy Town, USA.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
When you want the best of Louisiana, you don't go to a superstore. We know what we like, and we like it local. Same goes for banking. As one of Louisiana's largest local banks, we offer homegrown services crafted around you. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Prompt, professional, reliable. If you're looking for a breath of fresh air with your AC and heating needs, call the professionals at Anison Bitter. Anison Bitter, a Rheem Pro partner, keeping your family comfortable for over 25 years.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. It was not the start the East top-seeded Bucks were looking for. Nikola Vucevic with 35 points, 14 rebounds. Orlando surprised Milwaukee in Game 1, 122-110. Giannis had 31 in the loss. In another opener, Heat leading the Pacers 44-43 in the second quarter. The Lakers' quest for a 17th NBA title begins tonight when they take on the Blazers. LA could start slowly in the series against a red-hot Portland team, but will still advance to the next round, believes ESPN's Tim Legler.
It's a best of 7, and therefore the better team's going to win, and that is the Lakers, and they've got the best leader, and I think ultimately the size and the force of LeBron James and Anthony Davis is going to be a little bit too much for the Portland Trail Blazers to handle, even if they do get off to a great start.
Injured Rockets guard Russell Westbrook will not play in tonight's opener versus the Thunder. Coverage in an hour on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. The Celtics are expected to be without forward Gordon Hayward for about 4 weeks because of a sprained ankle. Stanley Cup playoffs Game 4, Flyers leading the Canadiens 2-0, 16 and a half minutes left in regulation.
Brought to you by Cooper Tires. Go with great tires that do what tires should do and cost what tires should cost. Go with the Coopers.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
I appreciate it, bud. Have a good one.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And the brain.
And the brain got a poop.
All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. 1 hour from right now, Cole Cubelic, SEC Network, will be with us. Also in hour 3, Bobby Carpenter, former Ohio State linebacker, does great work with ESPN. He'll be with us as well. Speaking of Ohio State, of course, Ohio State, the Big Ten, and the Big Ten has postponed its season to the spring, and parents have not taken likely to that. Among them is Randy Wade. He is the father of Sean Wade, who's defensive back at Ohio State, who's now seen his season, his fall season anyway, come to a halt. And Randy Wade has made a lot of news here in the last 24 hours because he tweeted a picture of his airline ticket because he's going to see Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren on Friday, and Randy Wade's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Randy, thanks so much for the time, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man. Hey, Randy, can I ask one favor? If you have the handset, could you pick up the handset so I'm not on speaker?
Okay. I can do it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for y'all for having me.
No, that's perfect, man. Thank you so much. Much better. All right, let me start with the trip to Chicago on Friday. When did you come up with the idea to do this?
Yes, it's just basically been something that we did after the last 2 weeks, talking to the coaches, talking to my son, and kind of the final straw was Justin Fields' petition that he put out. And I just thought that, this young man thought outside the box on his own to make an effort. And I'm thinking, as a parent, what can I do or what can we do as a Big Ten community?
Are other parents going with you on Friday?
Yes.
Do you know how many?
Right. No, I don't know the numbers. Right now we have. I'm getting everything together. Like right now we have support from Nebraska parents, Penn State parents, of course Ohio State parents. Purdue has reached out, and Iowa has also talked to us.
I mean, Randy, are y'all just gonna storm the building? I don't mean to make light, but is it just going to be this flood of parents that just go into the hallways there, the Big Ten offices?
Yeah, but it's not just parents; it's fans also.
Okay.
Fans put in money. Fans put in money for the Big Ten and for the particular schools that they support. So it's going to be everybody. We're gonna mask up. We're gonna. I don't know about the social distancing because that's going to be kind of hard to do. But we're going to mask up. We're going to form together. Hopefully I like to see a lot of the parents and fans have the jerseys on of the teams they support. And we're just going to kind of go boots on ground and kind of see what we can do to open up conversation again.
Yeah, man, this is a fascinating time. Do you have a scheduled meeting with Kevin Warren?
No, that's the internet saying that. I have not talked to Kevin Warren. I have not reached out to the Big Ten. The thing about it is the parents and the players have reached out. So we got no response. So this is kind of a next level peaceful outcry, I would say, to kind of just see if we can open up conversation again.
Wait, Randy, I'm sorry. Did you say you've gotten no response from the Big Ten?
No, most of us parents get responses only from our particular schools.
This is just sort of staggering to me because, like you mentioned, right? Justin Fields starts a petition. There's 250,000 signatures. You got parents from all these schools that want answers, and it's like radio silence. Like, you haven't gotten an email, a tweet, nothing from anybody at the league office responding to any of this.
No, not that I know of as of this morning. It wouldn't be for me. It would be for our Parents Association. And I talked to them this morning, and not that I know of.
How do you, as a parent who has a son playing in the Big Ten, describe how this makes you feel?
I'm gonna say this first. I don't have the evidence that Kevin Warren and the rest of the Big Ten presidents and they have. I don't have what they have. So our biggest thing is to try to move forward safely together. So one of the biggest things we want to know is what makes spring safer than the fall. Because the last thing I thought of is that COVID-19 is still going to be around. It's something that we're going to have to adjust to, and we're just trying to see moving forward what can we do to make it better so we can play football.
Yeah. Randy Wade is our guest. He's the father of Sean Wade, who's a junior defensive back at Ohio State, and planning to go up to Chicago to the Big Ten offices this Friday with parents from Nebraska, Penn State, Ohio State, of course, Purdue, Iowa, and fans as well to try to get some transparency. Randy, what is your ultimate goal? Like, what would you like to see happen as a result of all this?
Three things. The first thing is just communication. Communication, that's just simple, just communication. The second thing I already talked about. What would be different in the spring than it would be now? What would be safer in the spring that it would not be safer now? So a lot of things going on daily that's helping the situation with coronavirus. A lot of new technologies, the saliva swab or whatever it's called, stuff like that. And it could be safe to do it in the fall also. Spring really doesn't work for my situation. For some people it does, but it definitely doesn't work for mine. For other people, parents reached out to me and said the same thing. Playing 2 seasons in 1 year just doesn't go. So what we really like is for conversations to start again, and for the season to get pushed back, so we can have communication about what's the safest way to make this happen.
So you said there were 3. So communication, why the spring is safer, and is the third to try to get a fall season reinstated?
Yes, but the third question is also this. I apologize. It's 3.5. All right. So if the decision he made is about long-term health, and this bounced back to something I said earlier, what is going to change in the spring with long-term health for student athletes? Are we not going to play football ever again?
Yeah.
Or are we going to try our best to be safe and come up with ways to make it as safe as possible for our kids?
You alluded to the spring not being good for your situation with Sean. Mm-hmm. So is the idea for Sean, I don't know that he's declared or anything, but would this be his final season at Ohio State? So it's like he'd be one of the guys that many have talked about saying, I mean, even Nick Saban talked about it, right? He said, look, underclassmen and seniors aren't going to play in the spring because they're going to be getting ready for the NFL.
Yeah, and that's it, because the NFL is not budging.
Yeah.
For all the information we got, the NFL is going to keep everything on schedule. And the NFL is really getting kind of free labor from college football. So they're not budgeting with their date. So, the kids go to college, the college coaches train these kids and get their body in better conditioning and all that kind of stuff. And they go to the NFL after 3 years. That's free labor for the NFL. But the NFL is like, you know what? We're a business. We're going to stay with our time frame. It works good for us. It is what it is.
Yeah. Randy, I read a quote, at ESPN.com in an interview that you gave about revisiting a waiver, a liability waiver. And your quote was, okay, if that's the only thing you're concerned about, let us sign a waiver. That's simple. The NCAA retract what they said, let us sign a waiver. Why would you be willing, and this is just obviously asking, like, I'm a dad, you're a dad, like, why at this point would you feel comfortable signing a waiver for Sean to play? Or allowing Sean to sign a waiver, right? Because he's an adult. He could make his own decision.
Definitely. They're definitely young men, young adults, all right? But they have grown folks conversation that some of the stuff is kind of over their head. People don't really realize that. So the big thing is this. Okay, most of our kids, I have a podcast where I interview parents about their progression with their kids and their success and their downfalls to help other parents. All right, so this goes into that. So all of our kids have been playing football since around about 5 years old, okay? And what people got to realize, when those kids run out those tunnels onto the field and kneel to pray, they're kneeling to pray. They're not praying because they want to beat Michigan. They're not praying because they want to beat LSU. They're praying because they want to go through that game safe, with being safe and being healthy. And we started that in Pop Warner as coaches. So anytime a player plays a contact sport, whether it's wrestling, boxing, football, it's a possibility for a critical injury. It's a possibility of death. That has happened. So this is another thing that we have to surmount if possible.
What's the podcast, by the way?
Okay, my podcast is called Daddy's Ball Podcast. And basically, it's like I said, I interview people all over the country, trainers, coaches, even athletes. And they tell their story, and I shoot it out to on the media, and people listen to learn so we don't make the same mistakes. Because what happens is the coaches, agents, they know the game. They've been doing it forever. But every parent, this is our first time doing it, unless you have two athletes that are just special like that. So we seem to all make the same mistakes because we don't pass over information from one to another. So the podcast is to help that out.
I love it. Daddy's Ball Podcast. I'm looking at it right now. I'm going to subscribe to it. Daddy's Ball. I love the graphic, too, with the little baby holding the football. That's really good. Daddy's Ball Podcast. Y'all check it out. Last thing for you. Do you think it is realistic that the Big Ten, when they've already publicly said, hey, health and safety of our student athletes is why we're pushing to the spring, do you think it's a realistic possibility for them to reinstate a fall season?
I think the history in America shows when people get together and unite, different people, and show concern, that there's a possibility for anything. And you have to make people uncomfortable. You have to show them the reasons why you want to do it. You have to respect them because, I don't know Kevin Warren. You have to respect them as their position as a Big Ten. And you just have to try. You have to keep fighting. Because at the end of the day, our timeline is cut short because if the kids are ever going to play, they got to practice. They got to get in shape. So we're just keeping the fight.
Randy Wade, make sure you check out Daddy's Ball Podcast. Paul, can you pull this up for our TV audience so they can see it? There's the graphic right there, so those who are watching us on TV can see it. The Daddy's Ball Podcast. Y'all go download it, subscribe. Randy, we're going to be following this, man. It's a fascinating time, and I applaud you and the rest of the parents for what you're doing and fighting for your kids, man. Best of luck.
Okay,
We'll
can I say one more thing?
Please.
All right, my last thing I want to say, I know that there are more important fights in this world going on right now. You got the Black Lives Matter movement. You got the fact that people need to go out and vote for their local officials and vote in November. That's way more important. But this fight right here is just for the kids and just to have their back as a dad.
Hey, man, I was told a long time ago, just because if you stub your toe, just because someone else broke their leg doesn't mean your stubbed toe hurts any less. Like, You know what I mean? You fight your fight. It doesn't, regardless of what else is going on, man. And it's certainly worthwhile, and it's where a lot of people have taken interest in it, man. So I appreciate the time, Randy. We'll keep in touch. All right, man?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Randy Wade, he is Sean Wade's dad. Sean Wade's got junior defensive back at Ohio State. He's a star player. He's going into the draft. He's one of those guys that he said it point blank. He's one of those guys that if it's a spring season, he's opting out. It doesn't work for them. his son's about to be an NFL defensive back, but still fighting to play this season. So fighting for transparency, man, they put a lot of pressure on the Big Ten. I find it fascinating to see how this is going to all play out. I don't know I don't know that even this movement is going to be enough to force action in the other way. But it's still it's fascinating to watch, and I applaud them for doing what they're doing. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Feinswag will join us next, as he usually does on Tuesdays.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime, 752-0001, 752-0001, or online at onehourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, onehourbr.com. You know what? Read the reviews. You know one of the things I love about River City's 1 Hour Air? When you call River City's 1 Hour Air and you schedule to have a technician come out to your house, you will have, when they're on their way, a phone call alerting you that the technician's on the way, and you will receive a text message. And in that text message, you will have the name of the technician coming to your house, that technician's photograph, and reviews from previous customers, not of River City's 1 Hour Air, but of that technician. So you know exactly who is coming to your house. It's all about making you feel comfortable, safe, and giving you a better experience. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime.
This is a house call. This is a test result. This is a prescription refill. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare. Start your virtual visit today at Auctioner Health.
This is big. Really big. I mean really, really, really big. Because Honda's summer clearance event is going on right now at Richards Honda. With 0 to the 4th power on brand new Honda Civics. That's 0 down, 0 due at signing, 0 security deposit, and 0 first month payment. Plus, summer clearance on every new vehicle in stock. Just another reason why people call Richards Honda the smart choice. I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call for a free quote to see how much you can save. 293-0450. After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Hi, Lee.
Hello, Matt. How are you?
Vastly different tone and tenor from our conversation a week ago when Last
well,
Tuesday, we were waiting on votes from all the conferences whether or not they were going to proceed with the season.
I think at the time there were there's only been about 7 or 8 conferences that had gone to the spring, and now there's 26, and there's just the 6 left. The three, the ACC, Big 12, and SEC, and then the coattails hanger-oners of American Athletics, Sun Belt, and Conference USA. And still waiting for clarity from, the Big 12 and from the those 3 smaller conferences, but they'll figure something out, I guess.
I mean,
by the way, you're an inspiration to me, so I decided that it's time to put the best ofs away and renew anew. So
what's coming
up? I got
this week?
The first show, 26th season. Dee Dee Bro. Gonna spend some time with her since I haven't visited with her obviously since she retired.
Cool.
And Scott Rabelais, who's been writing his butt off in all sorts of different directions. And there you go, back in the saddle. Zoom, zoom.
Yeah, it's the way the world right now. But just to clarify though, are you optimistic that they're going to play football later next month?
I'm realistic that, the SEC put forth a plan that's outstanding. The schedule makes sense. Everybody's, mostly happy about it, except for a couple of those teams that probably feel that it's imbalanced, but, too bad. The SEC, I've got the thing open. I read it carefully today to make sure that, in case you and I talked about their fan health and safety guidelines.
Yeah.
They've covered as many of the bases as they can.
Yeah.
There are just so many, the uncertainty is the only certainty of all this. I mean, the University of North Carolina, which is a huge university and one of the most prestigious schools in the country of higher learning, they went barely a week and they're closing back down and you saw all the pictures that come out of, all these people getting together. There's one thing that you can book on this. If there are large gatherings, and it turns out oftentimes they're of college-age students, but if there are large gatherings of people not wearing masks, breakouts of the coronavirus follow. It's like A plus B equals C, duh. It's just been going on and on and on.
You mean like every other virus in the history of mankind?
I'm not here to argue that part of you. I'm not here to argue that part with you. The only thing about this one that's different is that don't forget there's no vaccination. But I'm just telling you, A plus B equals C.
And there's also no threat or exceedingly limited threat to young people.
Well, tell that to the young people's families of the ones who have died, and the ones who have health problems for life. But again, let's not argue that part. Let's just say that, if there's a big outbreak in this area or in any school that wants those 3 major conferences or those 3 other conferences that wants to play, what happens? I mean, what's going to happen in North Carolina? By the way, did you see the headline in
what's
the
going to happen
Daily
in
Tar
North
Heel?
Carolina is actually a better thing because for sports and for events, because now you're limiting exposure and content and you're less likely to have positive tests without students going on campus.
Well, like the football team, hopefully can, and all the athletes there, because right now they have not punted their Olympic sports to the spring either in that league. They haven't done that in the SEC either.
No, but the NCAA has said they won't hold championships for those events. So why would you even bother playing a season if there's not going to be a championship event at the end?
In the fall, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it would seem that they would allow the Olympic sports, again, it would be volleyball, men's, women's soccer, cross country, in some cases, I guess field hockey and whatever. But they instead of let them practice, they're all practicing 20 hours a week. They haven't cut back on their practices for anybody, but even the ones who have gone in the spring. So if they're going to conduct some kind of modified NCAA championship in the spring for those sports, it seems like the only way to go. But I don't have a dog in the hunt. Unlike your previous caller, I don't have a son playing college sports. I just want to see everybody be happy and healthy.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
To your previous comment, though, that was a little off-putting is you're like, tell that to the family of people who have died. I I mean, Lee, there's been people who've been paralyzed playing college football. So should we go to the
of
family of
course.
Devon
Well-
Gales and say, well, tell that to Devon Gales' family that there's little risk to people playing football? That's true, but you assume that risk every time you play football.
Because of all the concussions, there's been so much discussion over the last
and yet people
10 to
continue
15
to play.
years about but
They assume risk. Let people assume risk.
Well,
That's
of course.
my point.
Right. Well, that's everybody takes on what they want to take on.
You played water polo and a guy died in the pool. Should we stop playing water polo because an old man died playing senior water polo in the pool, Lee?
He was yes. Thank you for bringing that up. And I've gotten hurt playing that game.
But this is true.
No,
though.
but Matt,
you told this story on air. You had a man die playing the game you played. Should you not play adult water polo anymore because an elderly man died playing that game?
I don't know, after the way I felt today after I got out of my swimming workout. Oy. But come on, let's not go there. Let's just
let's not go there because it's uncomfortable. But that's everything about this is uncomfortable, Lee. It's about finding a way through uncomfortable situations. That's what this is right now. Nobody's saying it's easy, but is it doable and is it worth it? And the overwhelming majority of people are saying yes. Even the people who have been told you can't play. There's a father of a player just on the show saying, "Let me sign a liability waiver to let my kid go play."
Well,
who am I or you or anybody to tell him he's wrong?
I'll tell him he's wrong because parents just look, Matt. You want to do a show where all you have to do is just go, "Hello, tell me your story." All you have to do is open it up one day and say, "All right, all of you who are coaches, administrators on any sports level, call and tell me your parent stories." And your phones would you could do that for 3 straight hours and get stories that you wouldn't believe. So anytime I hear parents, I just roll my eyes.
Of course I believe it. But Lee,
I just roll my eyes.
Like you said a minute ago,
he was very nice.
Who has a dog in the fight.
He was a very nice man, very very articulate, well thought out, balanced. Didn't seem like a psycho. But nonetheless.
And you're telling him he's wrong for the way that he wants to parent his child.
You
just said that. You just said I'll tell him he's wrong. You said should we roll back the tape?
No, he can. He wants to get answers from the Big Ten. Good for him. I hope he gets answers.
I do too.
But he's not going to get a football season.
Now that I agree with too, because I don't know how the Big Ten puts the toothpaste back in the tube. When you've basically said health and safety of student athletes, I don't know how you go back on that.
So one of two things is going to happen. The SEC, ACC, and Big 12, and the 3 hangers-on conferences are going to try to conduct a football season. And one of two things will happen. It'll either come off and it'll be good, and they'll get all their games in, and nobody will get real sick, or it won't. One of two. And if they can pull it off, good for everybody. Now, one of two things happens there, too. They either get all the television and focus all to themselves for the whole fall, and if it works out, they got it. Conversely, in the spring, the Big Ten and the Pac-12, then they get the entire spotlight. If they're able to play, who knows? Things could be way, way worse in the coronavirus world by January, or they could be way, way better. They could be way, way worse by September 26th. You certainly don't know that. And, one of two things will happen. And the chances are, from a publicity, television ratings, viewer standpoint, all 5 of those Power 5 conferences might make out better. Now,
do you think a spring season is practical?
Oh, absolutely. And is it going to be modified? Are they going to go, conference only and then start real early in January to give them enough time to recover and come back in the fall? I don't know.
And how do you know that things are going to be better with the coronavirus in January?
You don't.
But that's
there are no guarantees. Like I said, the only certainty is the total uncertainty.
But you just said a spring season is practical, and I don't think it is, especially.
Is it any less practical than a fall season?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Number one, there's several reasons. Primarily because asking to play college athletes to play 2 football seasons in roughly 10 months is completely impractical. Like, for as much as, and you even referenced concussions, if your real premise is health and safety of student athletes, asking football players to play 2 seasons in 1 calendar year is ludicrous. That's one. 2, you are going to have massive amounts of players opt out. Basically, all seniors and underclassmen that are eyeing the NFL are going to leave to go to the NFL. They're not going to play a spring season, so you're basically going to have freshmen. Then you have all kinds of eligibility questions. If you play in that spring season, is that a year of eligibility? So then do you go to next year? If you're a sophomore, do you go to the fall as a junior, having just played a modified season in the spring? And then also, if we do play for a college football playoff in this fall, which it appears you will, then what are you playing for in the spring? Because there won't be a college football playoff then. So you're just playing games within your conference for no real end, except maybe a modified conference championship with an asterisk. Like there's more reasons for impracticality than practicality in the spring.
Do you think that there's going to be a 3-conference competition for the national championship?
There will be a 6-conference competition for the national championship, which is a majority of the FBS, which competes for the national championship. And when the CFP Board of Governors goes and meets, and if they're going to vote on this, you will have 6 conferences in and the athletic director of Notre Dame who has a seat. So 7 of the 11 votes will vote yes. So, yes, I do think there is going to be, if they play this fall, in fact, like I think they will, there will be a college football playoff this fall.
Who do you think Tulane would play in the Final Four?
I don't think Tulane would get into the Final Four.
I don't think so either. But it just made me.
You and I will watch that game together, and we can
and I know where you're going with this.
And we can drink beer.
Okay.
We can agree on something, Lee.
Oh, what is the malted liquor? What gets you drunker quicker? What comes in bottles or in cans? Beer. Can't get enough of it. Beer. How we really love it. Beer. Makes me think I'm a man. Beer. I could kiss and hug it, beer. But I'd rather chug it. Beer. Got my belly out to here. Beer. I could not refuse it. Beer. I could really use a beer. Beer. Beer.
All right, Lee, go ahead.
All right. Well, speaking of beer, I want to see how they work out the restroom lines and the situations in the big stadiums for the football games.
You'll probably have fewer people, so the lines won't be as bad.
Well, and maybe fewer beers. The one, I've been on this kick lately trying to find beers that'll go along with this horrible heat wave we've been having and staying with, I love sours and I love sour ales. This one is called Feed the Second Line, Volume 2 by the Crew of Red Beans.
Ooh.
Blueberry Lemon Sour Ale, 4.5% alcohol. And for starters, it's another collaborative between NOLA and the Zoni Mash Beer Project out of New Orleans, which I have to familiarize myself a little bit better.
Have you ever heard of them before? I never heard of them.
Not until I started looking them up in the game notes. And it looks like they could be in that theater where we went to that brewery that went out of business. I'm not sure, Matt.
That was Wayward Owl. And that, of all the places we went, Wayward Owl was my favorite. And they
fabulous beer.
God, their beer was so good, and they went out of business. That's a tough industry to make it, man.
Yeah, so, but the Zoni Mash Project, it's actually, the website is zonimashbeer.com if you want to look more about that. But anyway, so back to the issue at hand, which is I don't know if you're showing the screen on the screen.
It's
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Isn't that a beautiful? It is.
What's on the can? Is that a painting?
Drawing.
It's like a painting of like an acrylic sort of a woman?
So, well, here you go. Proceeds from the sale of this beer support the musicians, Mardi Gras Indians, social aid and pleasure clubs, artists, and cultural bearers who are the heart and soul of this bumpy town. Forever yours, faithfully. And so, anyway, this beer has, it says on their notes, I'll read them real quick, but then tell you. It's aroma, blueberry jam, fresh squeezed lemonade. Taste, blueberry pie filling lemonade, lemon hard candies, citrus fruit, mouthfeel, medium body. I don't know. It's a nice carbonated ale. And the thing I liked about it the most was that not only did it taste good, but it wasn't too sweet, like you would expect from this. And it was really nice. So I recommend it strongly.
September 26th, LSU, Mississippi State, you and me drinking a second line. What was it called again? Feed the second line. That's what we'll do.
Will you come to my house and watch it on the 82-inch, and we'll have an ACC game on the 60 with the sound off?
Well, if it's Clemson and Notre Dame, I don't think that's week 1, but I'll watch, sure. Hey, you know what? Right. At this point, just give me football. I'll watch it. All right.
There you go.
Next week, I'll try not to yell at you so much, but don't
it's okay.
Don't say so many ridiculous things.
Make sure people know we love each other and we love fighting with each other.
I know. I love you too, Lee. I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye, Matt.
All right. That's Lee Feinswag. Did not expect that to go that way, but with so much budding optimism about this season, he just threw a wet blanket on it. Pissed me off. All right. It's AFR. Stay here.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, buy local, shop local, and great news if you're a deer hunter, which you know I am not, and I would never, ever confuse this with you, but Buck Busters is here. And Mo Bucks and deer corn could be here by the end of the week. So if you're a deer hunter and you're starting to put out those plots, Buck Busters is here with the basic fall seed mix and the premium fall seed mix. If you're a deer hunter, get by any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations and go pick up your Buck Busters. Now, you can also start planting your fall vegetable garden now. They've got tomatoes. They've got fall vegetables. Of course, they got Johnny Naylor seeds. So go plant that fall vegetable garden now. It's a little too early still for some fall flowers and some trees and shrubs and stuff like that. But pumpkins, we're expecting early September, so we're a couple weeks away from that. Start gearing up for Halloween. I know it's 100 degrees outside, but the calendar says we're getting closer to fall. Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Clegg's Nursery.
Prompt, professional, reliable. If you're looking for a breath of fresh air with your AC and heating needs, call the professionals at Anison Bitter. Anison Bitter, a Rheem Pro partner, keeping your family comfortable for over 25 years.
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Here at the Big Squeezy, we continue to serve the Baton Rouge and Southeast Louisiana areas during these troubling times. We are dedicated to providing you healthy food items to help you live your best life. From our cold-pressed juices to our delicious smoothies, let the Big Squeezy keep you going. Stay active, stay happy, and let us help you stay healthy. Visit us at our locations and also inside of Alexander's and Mathern's grocery stores or online at thebigsqueezy.com.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call for a free quote to see how much you can save. 293-0450. After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, Cole Cubelic will be with us in 21 minutes from right now. Cole Cubelic of the SEC Network. Want to get his reaction to the SEC schedule, which was unveiled on Tuesday evening. Ed Ogeron met with the media via Zoom on Tuesday. Pretty interesting. I mean, it was a like a press conference just held via Zoom, interestingly enough. And Ed Orgeron reiterated what he's said all along, which is that they want to play.
That the attitude around here is that we want to play. Obviously, that's going to be the doctor's decision. That's not our decision. But if they tell us we can play, we want to play. So we feel comfortable. Our guys, the guys that did get sick, most of them are asymptomatic. They got quarantine and stuff like that, but we didn't have guys that were really sick that we had to take to the hospital or anything. So I think our guys are getting used to it.
Want to play? They think they're going to play. That's what Ed Orgeron has said all along. And now we know who they will play, when and where they will play. And obviously, you've added 2 teams to your schedule, and you've changed the order of your schedule. So how does that affect LSU as they prepare?
I feel that the knowledge that we have on the staff, I feel that, we were the first staff to come back. And Scott Woodward got that all done for us. And we were working. Man, we have game planned everybody, all the teams that we were supposed to play, and that we had never done that before. And I feel that we're ahead with all the Zoom meetings. This is probably the 5th time that we've installed our offensive defense. And usually it's only about three times, the most, maybe 4.
So LSU staff has made the absolute most, clearly, of their time that they've had during football school and all of the work the NCAA has allowed them to do. We've talked about that a good bit, but it's clearly put LSU in a position right now to ramp up toward the season, which a lot of people are very clearly excited about. When we start talking about on the field, obviously LSU is going to have to deal with the pressure of being the defending national champions. And Ed Orgeron was asked about how he deals with this. And they have taken a very interesting tact with one of their assistant coaches in how they deal with this.
Bobby April is an analyst for us, and Bobby did a study of teams that won championships and the year after. And he went and interviewed some of the players and asked them, say, hey, what's some of the things that you think the coaches did well? What's some of the things that you think that the coaches didn't do well? And one of the most common mistakes is to mention last year's team and compare this year's team to them all the time. So we don't do that. But we do mention leadership. We mention LSU standard of performance.
Something that we've talked about a ton here is how so specifically attention to detail this staff is. And that's another example of it. Like having an analyst go and study championship teams and talk to players about what worked and what didn't to talk about how to deal with being a defending champion. It's every time you hear a story like that, it's becoming normal, but it still takes you aback because of the almost maniacal attention to detail. But all of that is off the field. There are things now with LSU officially getting into fall camp that matter on the field. And apart LSU switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3 defense, that aside with obviously replacing Joe Burrow are the 2 biggest storylines on the field for this team. And something we've talked about a lot here really is the defensive end position. And that's fascinating because you haven't really recruited traditional 4-3 defensive ends like athletic edge guys, hand-in-the-dirt guys. You've been recruiting more 3-4 outside linebackers, guys that look like Marcel Brooks or Patrick Queen. Well, now you need those defensive ends. And one of them was expected to be Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas left the team a year ago. He was reinstated. He was going to be one of the starters on this defensive line. And I use the past tense because Ed Orgeron updated Justin Thomas's status today.
Justin Thomas will not be with us. He left the team. And we wish him the best. It's unfortunate, but he will not be with us. TK McClendon is just getting back to the team. He took a little time off. So he's going to have some work to do in conditioning. I think that eventually he can be a tremendous pass rusher. But for right now, he's just getting back into shape.
Justin Thomas not being with the team feels like a significant blow because he's one of the guys that does physically look like your traditional 4-3 defensive end. And I'll maintain that that's still going to be the biggest question right now moving forward is what do you do at defensive end? Can Andre Anthony be that guy? You've heard Ed Ogeron rave about B.J. Ojulari, T.K. McClendon switching positions. Like, who's going to emerge in those spots? And those are the spots that absolutely are going to be critical. Right now, Ed Ogeron said Andre Anthony and Trevez Moore are your starting defensive ends. Can they hold that spot? Can they develop depth? Can they generate more of an organic pass rush that way? That's going to be fascinating to watch on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, Coach O was also on with Jordy and T-Bob this morning, and he said Austin Deculus is going to be out for a little while, and that starting at right tackle is Marcus Dummerville, the freshman, and he's backed up by Charles Turner. Now, Deculus is your starter at right tackle, but understand a true freshman is being backed up by a redshirt freshman at right tackle behind your starter. And, man, when you look at and at left tackle, by the way, he mentioned that the other freshman, Xavier Hill, is backing up God dog it, I'm blanking. Anyway, is the backup at left tackle right now with Dare Rosenthal as the starter. Excuse me. Basically, right now, your backup tackles are both true freshmen. I mean, you've got Dare Rosenthal and Austin Deculus. You got two veteran guys starting at tackles. They're being backed up by true freshmen. So while I really like that first five on the offensive line, and I really like having Cardell Thomas and Charles Turner, who could be a swing guy, and Bradford, who they think a lot of. You got a lot of really good interior players, but it's pretty clear right now where the vulnerability is on the offensive line. It's on the outside because you don't have veteran guys depth at tackle right now. How they develop that through fall camp will be another fascinating thing to watch as this moves along over the next month or so before the season opener against Mississippi State. All right, after further review, glad you're hanging out with us here. Let's knock out our final break of hour number 2. We'll come back. Brain will have Tigers and the pros. Cole Cubelic in 14 minutes. He'll chat with us a little bit about the SEC schedule as a whole, not just LSU, but what's his reaction to the entire schedule, which was announced on Tuesday night.
AFR.
If you need to sell your home, call Darren James. Get your home sold. Think real estate. Think Darren James. Get to the website at agent225.com. Agent225.com. Tap our listings at the top of the page, and you'll see every one of Darren's listings. Could be your listing that's being mentioned right here on a live radio ad. You know, one of the things statistically that's been proven, the most stressful experiences humans can have, moving. That's in the top 5 consistently on surveys of most stressful experiences that people have. Darren wants to help remove that stress from you and your family. Darren wants to give you such an unbelievable experience. I was chatting with Darren a few weeks back, and he was at a listing at 11 o'clock at night to change a light bulb before a showing. Like, that's the kind of commitment he has to his clients. If you need to sell your home, call the realtor that sells more homes than anybody. Call Darren James. 335-7666. Think real estate? Think Darren James.
And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call for a free quote to see how much you can save. 293-0450. After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, Cold Cubelic in 9 minutes are brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Better coverage, less money. Online at lainsurance.net. Every day, Brain tells us what the former Tigers are doing now that they're getting paid to play the sports that they play. We call it Tigers in the Pros. Hit it, Brain.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Kentucky's Best Hemp. Find them online at kysbesthemp.com.
We are going to start off with a little NFL shoe action. The Seahawks have been sharing the love, and Jamal Adams is feeling the love. Following public praise from coaches and players since his arrival, Jamal Adams tweeted today, quote, "This organization, you could tell since the day I walked in that they've appreciated me. That's all I've wanted, and I'm happy."
Hey, the boy Jamal. It's all about being happy.
It is. Patrick
for tens of millions of dollars.
That helps. Patrick Queen turned heads on his first day of practice in full pads. Actually made the first tackle of the Ravens camp. Ravens staff writer Ryan Mink wrote, quote, "It's clear the rookie from LSU will add another dynamic to the middle of Baltimore's defense." Back to the Seahawks.
A dynamic what?
Another dynamic.
Another dynamic what?
Another dynamic. Like a different level. Like another weapon?
Another dynamic weapon?
No, I don't think they're using dynamic as an adjective. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and defend Ryan Mink. I've never met the man.
I don't know who that is.
I mean, it was a Raven staff writer.
You're a Raven staff writer.
I am absolutely not. Back to the Seahawks.
Want to be a Raven staff writer.
Danny Etling landed a new gig. The Seahawks nabbed Etling after Atlanta let him go yesterday. Pete Carroll noted that he's putting an emphasis on depth. Meanwhile,
they're going to make him a tight end.
Easy. Meanwhile, Etling joined Stephon Sullivan, Damian Lewis, Ethan Posick, and the aforementioned Jamal Adams, all NFL LSU in that locker room.
After we saw Joe Burrow, can we now officially stop the Danny Etling is a good quarterback conversation? I mean,
we could change the definition of the word good if you want to. It's all right.
All right is okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Daniel's all right.
It's all right. Okay, I'm down with that. It's all right.
So the Nets got blown out yesterday.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Garrett Temple posted up
good either.
12 points and 4 rebounds in his effort. Game 2 is tomorrow at 12:30.
Tough matchup.
Won't be hearing from DJ LeMahieu for another week or so. He was placed on the 10-day injured reserve list after leaving Saturday's game with a sprained thumb. Alex Bregman went 1 for 4 last night for the Astros. He doubled and scored in Houston's 2-1 win over Colorado. By the way, while we're talking about Alex Bregman, we're at the end of the 10th right now. Bregman is 1 for 4 and scored the Astros' only run in a 1-1 tie with the Rockies.
Wow.
Heading to the 11th.
The big brain.
Yeah.
On top of that.
Yeah.
How did he score the run?
I don't know.
He crossed home plate.
Walked right into that one. Hey. Austin.
Give it to me.
Austin Nola filled up his stat line in the box score last night. 2 for 5. Scored a run by crossing home plate and drove in another. In spite of Nola's efforts, the Mariners lost to the Dodgers 11-9, and that is Tigers in the Pros.
Brought to you by Kentucky's Best Hemp. Get yours at bestfreehemp.com. I really am enjoying all of the messages I'm getting on social media from people that are tweeting me like pictures of their Best Free Hemp that they're getting, their CBD oil. And they're like, man, it really was free. It is. You don't even pay shipping. Bestfreehemp.com, bestfreehemp.com. Get a free bottle of their CBD oil, bestfreehemp.com. They got tons of products, though. The salve. They've got the dog treats, the honey sticks, the gummies, inflammation, anxiety, help you sleep. Bestfreehemp.com. Cole Cubelic. Next.
AFR.
As we put a button on hour 2, we remind you about Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com, 288-8138, 288-8138, or reliefwindows.com. Windows door siding, Relief Windows, and reliefwindows.com. Do it right the first time. Remember, when you buy windows from Relief Windows, they come with a lifetime warranty, labor, material, and glass breakage. So you may pay more initially, but they're going to last you forever. Like, you do it once, you're done. I mean, think about if you went bargain basement and installed these like old rickety wood windows. 4 or 5 years from now, you're right back reinstalling them. Do it right the first time. Spend a little more. Have a great experience with Relief Windows and be done forever. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, lower your monthly energy bill, increase your home's resale value, and have a great customer service experience. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. reliefwindows.com.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get into a new Camry for $239 per month, or take 0% financing for 6 years. $239 per month, or 0% for 6 years. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas. Happy Town, USA.
Citizens Bank is proud to bring you the Fan of the Week. But during these times with no fans, Citizens Bank is switching its support to the Banking on BR campaign to raise money for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. You can help out by visiting brfoodbank.org or bankingonbr.com.
Divorce is hard. Divorce is messy. Divorce is exhausting. The law offices of O.C. Brown walked me through my divorce and helped me find the right solution for me, my kids, my finances, and my property.
Call the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime.
Craving garden color? Clegg's Nursery is bursting with color, grown fresh in our greenhouses. Colorful bedding plants, incredible edibles, flowering shrubs, and beautiful trees.
Our business is knowing, the business of growing. Yard and garden questions are answered here.
Clegg's is a must-do family tradition. Just plant something. It's good for mind, body, and soul. Clegg's Nursery, serving Baton Rouge and Denham Springs. CleggsNursery.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hand injury lawyers.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. A surprise in the opening game of Day 2 of the NBA playoffs with Nikola Vucevic leading the way with 35 points and 14 rebounds. The Magic got it done against the East top-seeded Bucks, 122-110. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 31 in the loss. In Game 1, Heat leading the Pacers 81-80 early fourth quarter. One of the most anticipated first-round series starts tonight with the Lakers and Trailblazers. Thanks to the superhuman play of Damian Lillard, Portland is on a roll. 7-2 the last 9 games, heading into the series opener against Danny Green and the Lakers.
They're one of the hottest teams in the bubble, besides Phoenix. They've been playing really well as a group. They got the chemistry. So we have to, match that energy, find our chemistry as well, but play better defense. We got to try to find a way to contain them, stop them a little bit, and also offensively run, try to attack them, make them play defense.
Danny Green with Chiney Ogwumike and Mike Golick Jr. Celtics major injury hit. Gordon Hayward expected to miss about 4 weeks with a sprained right ankle. Stanley Cup playoffs, the Flyers blanked the Canadiens 2-0, so they go up 3-1 in that series.
Will Danny Dimes continue to deliver in 2020? And how does Kyler Murray follow up his rookie campaign? Wednesday, Keyshawn, Jay Will, and my man Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And the brain.
And the brain got a poop.
And Toby Tomplay. Check out my guy, Toby Tomplay, on iTunes and all the places that you listen to music. The AFR theme going right to the top of the iTunes charts. Probably not, but I like it a lot. Like Cole Cubelic as well, SEC Network, also the Coast, a 3-man front weekdays on WJOX, Jocks FM there in Birmingham. SEC schedule has been announced, and Cole's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes to talk about it and react. Cole, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, Matt. How about yourself?
Oh, really well. I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way, man, but it feels like in the last week, the whole vibe and tenor around college football, at least in this part of the country, has changed and been replaced with really a feeling of optimism. I mean, is that just me, or do you feel the same thing?
No, I feel more confident. I mean, when we got the Big Ten and the Pac-12 in the same day, I don't know anybody who would stand up and, puff their chest out and say, by God, we're still getting college football. It was just kind of hard to imagine at that point. But I have confidence for a lot of reasons. I think we've been thrown some extra hurdles since that took place. You saw the deal down in Florida State last week, and that ended up being a couple knuckleheads that Norvell wouldn't even address in a press conference, and then one of them backtracks his statements, and we see, Syracuse, and everybody says, "Oh, Dino doesn't know what he's doing; it's going to fall apart." And a little miscommunication. That thing kind of works itself out. So, I think that there are things that people are waiting to pounce on, like this Notre Dame and this North Carolina situation, which doesn't directly affect the football teams. Now, it could, but it hasn't yet, and it doesn't yet. But we knew there was going to be problems when students came back.
Bingo.
I mean, that's our biggest obstacle that we have left remaining. And I mean, listen, I don't want anybody to get this, but 148 and when there's about 12,000 students enrolled at Notre Dame. So, come on, you got 53 or whatever it is at North Carolina, and you got almost 30,000 students. So it's not room for complete panic, but people are going to treat it that way, and they're going to act like that. So I think the good news is this may give me more confidence than anything else. And I'm sure I haven't seen a ton of LSU kids doing it, but it's a lot of the other stuff from Auburn and Alabama kids get shared on my timeline. The kids are aware of the stupidity that's happening on college campuses. When I say the kids, I mean the players.
Players, yeah.
The college football players see it, they recognize it, they know it, and they're calling people out on it. That, to me, shows right then and there that when they had to come back, Matt, that sort of laid the groundwork for how they're going to have to act this time, because they're in Baton Rouge, like I know in Auburn, like I know in Tuscaloosa, like I know in Columbus, Ohio, like I know in Austin, Texas. There was a knucklehead or two on every team that thought they could go out, that thought they could go to parties or go to bars or chase girls, and it backfired on them. Mm-hmm. And it was a setback for them and the team and everybody involved. But I think now they've lived through that. They know it, they've seen it, and they have a better idea how to handle themselves. And the fact that it bothers them, the fact that you have SEC players calling out regular students and it bothers them visibly what's happening, that gives me more confidence that we're going to have a season, even though a lot of the regular students are not out there acting the way that they should.
No. Well said. Schedule comes out on Tuesday night. You look at the whole grid. Your first reaction is what?
First reaction was, man, we're going to play the Iron Bowl, and we're going to play the Egg Bowl, and we're going to play LSU A&M, and then we're going to have another game. That's just weird to me. I mean, that's just that's a tough one to swallow. We're not used to that. We're used to that being it, and either you're going to Atlanta or you're not, and you sit around and try to figure out what bowl game you're going to. So that was a little strange to me. I thought there were a couple of teams, like I thought Auburn got hammered. Missouri and Arkansas obviously got hammered. Texas A&M might be the team, just from a schedule perspective, that my opinion has changed the most on.
Yeah.
That was a team that I thought could be – I thought they could be 10-0 going to Tuscaloosa with a chance to maybe split Bama and LSU and finish 11-1, something like that. 9-3 at worst, I thought. And now I'm looking at that thing saying, man, if they went 7-3, that would be a pretty good season for Jimbo Fisher. Kentucky got a tough draw, because I think Kentucky's a good football team. They got a tough draw out of this whole deal. So there are a couple of things that stuck out, and I'm actually glad they kept those rivalry games on Thanksgiving weekend. Don't get me wrong, because I think that's a part of our life. It's part of our DNA. It's a part of our makeup. We get with our family, and we eat turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and gumbo and whatever else it is, and we watch A&M LSU, we watch the Iron Bowl, we watch the Egg Bowl. So I think still having those games on that weekend was really good, but it's going to take me a little while to get used to that not being the last game of the regular season.
Cole, I guess it's a little different here because LSU's never had the traditional rivalry, right? So that playing date hasn't meant as much to fans here. If anything, they resented the whole Arkansas thing for so many years, but the A&M rivalry is obviously budding. I wanted to ask, because you alluded to Arkansas and Missouri with the games that they got added. I'm just curious your take on this, Cole, because I look at it and go, there is a plausible explanation to strength of schedule, because if you're Missouri, you already had on your schedule Arkansas and Mississippi State. You're the two worst teams in the division. Well, you added the two best. It kind of balanced it out. Is there something to be said for that? Like LSU got Vandy and Mizzou, but they were already going to play Florida and South Carolina. Well, you weren't going to add Georgia as well with Florida already there. And with a hodgepodge of average in the East, it kind of worked out. If anybody in the East adding teams from the West, it's going to be more difficult.
Yeah, and it's a very fair point. It's a good point. And for the people who are mad at, let's just say, the draw that Georgia got, they already had Alabama and Auburn.
Right.
Who do you want? Who did you want them to get?
Right.
I don't really understand it. So like you said it about LSU, they play Florida, man, every year, and the SEC West. Who did you want them to add? Auburn plays the West, and they already had Kentucky and Georgia. getting Tennessee was not a great draw for them. So it was going to be really good for some. It was going to be viewed as, I guess, a lot lighter for others. Here's the reality. We're playing 10 SEC football games.
Yeah.
SEC versus SEC. Are some a little bit better than others? Yes. But buckle your junk because you got 10 SEC games, and you better be ready for that no matter what.
Did you see the Vegas odds? Like BetOnline.ag released their win totals today. Bama,
it's weird to look at.
Bama
Yeah.
7.5. Like,
I think Alabama loses a game, but I mean, I'm taking the over on that.
Right?
I don't know where they got that from.
Oh, LSU at 6.5. I mean, is LSU a 6-4, 7? Look at LSU's schedule. Are they a 6-4, 7-3 team against this schedule?
I don't think so. No, I mean, I think the Florida game. And here's the thing: I got to asterisk Florida right now because Kadarius Toney, Trayvon Grimes, Jacob Copeland, Zachary Carter not at practice yesterday. If those four guys sit out, I mean, I've got Florida 2 in my power rankings right now. I mean, if those four guys decided to opt out, I could see legitimately me dropping Florida at least 3 spots, like just on those guys. That's that big of a deal to me. But, I mean, Florida's going to be tough no matter what. Auburn's oftentimes a weird game. Alabama is the Alabama game. A&M's going to be a tough game this year. You look at where they get, like some people, you could sell me on Ole Miss being dangerous, but I don't think Ole Miss is going to be dangerous on December the 5th. You know, I think LSU gets Mississippi State in a perfect spot. I mean, that's an offense that relies on timing, rhythm, wherewithal, spacing. Like, you got to know when to break your routes off. You got to know when to expect the football. Ball's got to come out accurate on time. You're going to have that all settled in on week 1 against a really good secondary. I mean, I don't think that's a good matchup for Mississippi State. Not just because it's LSU, but just they got guys who can cover. And you know, some people's knock on LSU might be, okay, well, who's going to be your pass rusher? Calebon's gone. You don't have that guy off the edge. Well, who's getting to that offense's quarterbacks anyway? I mean, ball's getting out. Yeah. You got to have dudes who can cover in that offense, and LSU's got them. So, yes, I would take the over with LSU. I would take the over with Alabama, and then some of the point spreads. I mean, listen, I don't expect much of Vandy, but what was the A&M Vandy spike? 38 points or something like that.
That's crazy.
The Auburn Kentucky line 11. I'm gonna say if you can find that, you load up on Kentucky right now. I mean, dump the bank on Kentucky with 11 points in the opener against a team that's got 4 new starters on the offensive line, a new offensive coordinator, and lost 2 of the best defensive linemen, maybe in school history, definitely one in school history, and a first-round DB. Like, I mean, I love Kentucky in that matchup. So, yeah, I don't know if Vegas just maybe they don't have the same kind of data to be able to rely upon or what, but some of that stuff just did not look right.
Do you think that the home field advantage being muted because there's no fans is a significant part of this conversation? I mean, Cole, we always talk about who you play, but when and where you play them. But, like, is one of those factors just no longer relevant, the where you're playing, because there aren't going to be fans?
Not 100%, and I'll tell you why. I do think that portion of it, the amount of fans in the stands, is important because, I mean, I've done it. I mean, I've played over there at night, and it absolutely makes a difference. You know, I've played at Knoxville the year after they won a national championship, and I promise you that makes a difference. I've talked to guys like Trevor Knight and Greg McElroy that have played in Jordan Hare. It absolutely makes a difference. So that's neutralized. That portion of it is neutralized. I think what's going to happen, Matt, is you're going to get people who say, well, it's going to be easier to win on the road. I don't think it's going to be easier to win, but you will have an easier time executing on the road. You'll be able to change more. You'll be able to communicate more. It's probably not going to wreck your nerves as much. So I think there'll be a little bit more of a calm for teams on the road, maybe earlier in games. But the part of it that I don't think we're talking about is I think travel is going to be a little more stressful this year. I think you're going to have more day trips. Like I remember after 9/11, I think Tuberville took Auburn over there the day of the game and then flew back. Like football players aren't used to that. You just don't do it very often. And imagine you got to make sure you're going to be there on time, right? So you're going to get to the stadium 5 hours before kick. I mean, that's just football players don't want to go sit around for 3 or 4 hours at the stadium. And then most guys are going to go out there and start trying to get loose and warming up, and they're going to burn too much energy too early. And then, what's our kids going to be comfortable with getting on a plane, getting on a bus, if they have to stay in a hotel? I just think the travel portion is going to be a little bit more stressful on a lot of these teams, and we don't really take that into account. And now that might be the fact that things are rushed. That might be, how things look as far as when you have to get somewhere. But it might be what the team or the league asks you to do while you're traveling. But I just think that part's going to be a little bit different. So I think the best part about playing at home is not your fans. The best part about playing at home is being comfortable. You know exactly where you're staying. You know exactly where your locker is. You know exactly where to go when you come out for warm-ups. You know exactly where your parents are going to be. I mean, everything is already known. So you're not looking around, trying to figure things out, don't know where to go. Everything's already known. So that comfort level is, in my opinion, the biggest benefit of playing at home. Having the fans is badass, and it's awesome, and you love it. But the wherewithal and just already knowing how everything's going to play out, that's the best part of being at home. And I still think going on the road with how travel's probably going to look this season, that'll still give the home teams a little bit of an advantage.
Great perspective as always, man. Cole Cubelic, SEC Network, and WJOX, three-man front there in Birmingham. Appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, bud. Be well. It's After Further Review, brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Cole likes the over on LSU. That's 6.5. If y'all missed it earlier, Bet Online's got the LSU over under win total. That's 6.5. Like, it floors me. Like, I can't fathom LSU losing 4 games this year. I can't find the 4 on the schedule where I'm like, yeah, loss, right? I mean, 10 SEC games, man. What did he say? What did Cole say? Buckle your junk. Can we make Buckle Your Junk a drop on the show, please? I would love for Buckle Your Junk to be a drop. It's After Further Review. Stay here.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Premier South Roofing and PremierSouthLA.com, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, and online at PremierSouthLA.com. A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau. Super Service Award from Angie's List. Torch Award for Ethics in Business. Go read the reviews at Premier South Roofing, and you'll see over and over again what you hear me talk about all the time, which is you will have a better experience with a contractor. Ray in Gonzales wrote, I'm very pleased with my new roof. RJ and their crew are professional, superior craftsmen. The work done in a timely manner. RJ was on the job site supervising. The cleanup crews were meticulous, left my yard better than they found it. I recommend highly. Those are the types of things you hear, and you don't often hear those things about contractors. But Premier South Roofing wants you to have a better experience with a contractor, and they do beautiful work. PremierSouthLA.com. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, and online, PremierSouthLA.com.
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you. Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CBC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
You can get into a new Highlander for $4,000 off MSRP. Yes, $4,000 off MSRP, and we have many in stock. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that
After
matters.
further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call for a free quote to see how much you can save. 293-0450. After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Thanks again to Cole Cubelic for joining us. Bobby Carpenter in 10 minutes. Former Ohio State linebacker, first-round pick, does great work for ESPN now on ESPN Radio, Get Up analyst, all that stuff. Talking about what's going on in the Big Ten. God, if you missed anything today, really good stuff. We had Randy Wade on with us in hour number 1. Actually, it started hour 2, scheduled for hour 1. His son, Sean Wade, is defensive back at Ohio State. He's the dad who's bought a plane ticket and he's rallying other parents to go to the Big Ten office on Friday, basically to go demand answers. Crazy. Anyway, thanks to Cole Cubelic for joining us there just a bit ago. Bobby Carpenter in about 10 minutes from right now. No Saints practice today. They'll be back on the field tomorrow. So if you missed any of our stuff recapping day 1 of Saints practice yesterday, you can check out on demand at 1045ESPN.com, presented by Brett Golf, or on the After Further Review YouTube channel. So get there, subscribe, and hit the bell. We talked about this with Cole, the betting odds, the point spreads for week 1, and I'll ask Jimmy about this coming up, Jimmy out in about 20 minutes, but it is staggering. Week 1, a bunch of landslides. A&M a 28.5-point favorite over Vandy. Georgia favored by 24 at Arkansas. Welcome, Sam Pittman. Florida's a 10.5-point favorite over Ole Miss. It's a road game, but surprised that line's not a little bigger. Bama 21.5 at Missouri. LSU, 18.5-point favorite over Mississippi State, week 1. Tennessee, South Carolina, they got Tennessee as a 1-point favorite on the road against Gamecocks. And then Cole mentioned Auburn as an 11-point favorite against Kentucky. When I started this morning, the line was not listed. I don't know why. And my guess is the reason the line has been pulled is because Florida's 3 starting wide receivers were all no-shows at practice yesterday. So there's some whispers that they could potentially opt out. And if they opt out, then Florida will have lost its top 7 pass catchers from a year ago. Good luck. So that's probably why that's pulled. Obviously, when you look at these lines, the SEC gave the contenders a tune-up. I don't think LSU misses a beat week 1 with Mississippi State, even if there's no fans in Tiger Stadium. Clearly, LSU is a gigantic favorite. And we'll see about that, the Florida game there. I mentioned Kentucky-Auburn with no lines. Florida, whose receivers aren't no-showed the first day of practice. So I'll get Jimmy's thoughts on that Kentucky-Auburn no line coming up here in about 15 minutes from right now. Speaking of opting out, this has been a very big conversation. Yesterday, we learned that Kerry Vincent became the second LSU player to opt out. Neil Farrell was the first. It is worth noting that Ed Orgeron did not confirm if Kerry Vincent's opt-out had anything to do with COVID-19. More so, I would say, the uncertainty of the season ahead and also the opportunity to get ready for the draft when you've got a guy like Elias Ricks nipping at your heels. That was probably a big part of Kerry Vincent's decision. We also learned today that Justin Thomas will not play. He's not with the football team. Ed Orgeron did not disclose a reason, but it's worth noting that Justin Thomas took a leave from the football team last year, was allowed back with the team this offseason, and now is not with the team again. So considering his history, it's hard to believe that's COVID-related, because why would you opt out if you haven't put any film? It's not like you're opting out to go to the draft. This is a guy who needs to play. It feels like there's something deeper there with Justin Thomas. But you are seeing players across college football opt out. Micah Parsons of Penn State, Rashad Bateman from Minnesota, Miami defensive lineman Gregory Rousseau, and Nick Saban was a guest on Get Up today on ESPN, And Nick essentially said what we've all said. And it's just more impactful when you hear this from him.
Because I think one of the, the real consequences of this is, if you're a junior or senior and you have an NFL grade, are you going to play in the spring? Or is that going to become sort of a JV season with a lot of these juniors and seniors opting out?
Arguably the most influential coach in college football just called the possibility of a spring season a JV season. Y'all, Nick Saban is one of the most calculated people that you'll ever come across in the similar way that Bill Belichick is. There's a reason he's won 6 national titles in all those games, and say what you will about him. He's the greatest college football coach in the history of the game. Don't think Nick Saban didn't walk into that interview on Get Up today knowing full on what he is doing. And by the way, it will be not only to his benefit, but to the benefit of everybody that plays in the fall, including LSU. But Nick Saban there is speaking very directly to current student athletes who might want to transfer from those leagues. He's speaking to recruits saying, you're going to go play in the JV. And he's also directly putting pressure on those leagues to not play in the spring. Listen, I don't think a spring season is practical anyway, for a lot of different reasons. If the college football playoff is going to be held in the fall. So if you have a spring season, the Big Ten and the Pac-12, what are you playing for? You're playing for nothing. There's not going to be another college football playoff in the spring. That's nonsensical. As Nick Saban mentioned, you're going to have massive amounts of opt-outs. You're going to have your seniors and your prominent underclassmen who are draft eligible opt out and go through the draft process. It also puts you at, if there is a fall season, and then the Big Ten, Pac-12 play a spring season, now you're putting yourself voluntarily at a disadvantage for fall of 2021. Why would you go wear out your players and playing a spring season, potentially injure them, and sacrifice fall of 2021? It doesn't make any sense. And then you have eligibility questions. Like, would you really, if you're a player, would you go play a 5-game spring season and forfeit a year of eligibility? Like, so then do you go, if you're a junior, then are you a senior in the fall? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But if you're Nick Saban, if you're LSU, if you're the rest of the Power 5 that are playing college football in the fall, you don't want that spring season to go off. You want Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, USC, Cal, Arizona State, Washington, Oregon. You want them dormant for a year. You want them out of sight, out of mind, competitively. You don't want them playing. You don't want them competing for a championship. You want every single negative windfall that would hit them. Recruiting, monetary, financial, everything. Exposure, all of it. You want that to be an avalanche on them. Listen, everybody is going to take a hit from this year. Financially, it's going to be a massive mountain that every athletic department is going to have to overcome from losing so much revenue in this football season, on top of having just lost March Madness. But if you don't play a season at all, and now you throw on the prestige, the notoriety, the awareness, the brand awareness, the equity, all of that sort of stuff that goes along with playing a season, and you have some leagues that are and some aren't, Nick knows what he's doing. He knows very well what he's doing. And by calling a spring season a JV season, he's essentially neutering whatever it is they might be thinking about doing in the spring now. He's heading that off at the pass. He's very smart for doing it. I agree with him. So what does a former Big Ten player think? Well, that's Bobby Carpenter, former Ohio State linebacker, first-round draft pick of the Cowboys, now does great work with ESPN. We'll ask him next on AFR.
AFR.
Tuesday show is brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana. They're online at lainsurance.net. Better coverage for less money. Tell you about them every single day. Stop overpaying to be underinsured. Insurance Network of Louisiana. They close at 5, so you can't call them right now. But log on to lainsurance.net. You'll see right there at the top of the page where it says quotes. Tap quotes at the top of the page. Fill out a little info, and they'll get back to you as soon as they're in the office. And they'll start working on getting you better coverage for less money. Like this, AFR listener named Jared, been with Farm Bureau for 10 years. pretty much underinsured, didn't really know he was. They were able to increase his coverage by $150,000 and saved him $750 a year. Better coverage, less money. Insurance Network of Louisiana. Online at lainsurance.net. lainsurance.net for Insurance Network of Louisiana. Online, lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Divorce is hard. Divorce is messy. Divorce is exhausting. The law offices of O.C. Brown walked me through my divorce and helped me find the right solution for me, my kids, my finances, and my property. Call the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime.
Hi, this is Chance Inman, President and Chief Operating Officer for Janney King Gulf Coast. Here are some ways to protect yourself and those around you from the coronavirus. Wash your hands often and thoroughly. Cover coughs and sneezes with your elbow. Disinfect high-touch surfaces regularly. Use non-contact methods for greeting others. And avoid touching your face. Following these steps, as well as social distancing, should help all of us stay healthy.
Janney King, the king of clean.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call for a free quote to see how much you can save. 293-0450. After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
While the SEC released its schedule, a lot of hand-wringing in Big Ten country right now. Coaches, players, administrators, parents, all trying to figure out why they aren't moving forward with the season. Now, Bobby Carpenter played at Ohio State, 7 years in the NFL, does great work as an ESPN radio host and analyst. You'll see him on Get Up, and he's good enough to join us here for a couple of minutes. Bobby, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
No, we appreciate a couple of minutes. I mean, you're there in the heart of Big Ten country. Can you describe sort of what the vibe has been like over the last 7 days since the Big Ten announced that they're pulling the plug on the fall season?
I think initially it was shock. And you kind of go through the process of grief. And so it's shock initially, then there's a little bit of anger, there's some resentment in there, probably a little bit of despair mixed in. And the thing is that I've been surprised with, though, especially among the players, the parents, and, a lot of people obviously up here that are fans, is it didn't really get to the point of, acceptance. As you can see in the adjustments field, put together, the online petition, which is probably close to 300,000 signatures by now. You have parents that are putting together letters to send to Kevin Warren, the Big Ten commissioner who, kind of steered the president towards this, and you find out that it really maybe wasn't even really a vote. They just kind of talked about it and said, this is what we're going to do. Meanwhile, his son is playing at Mississippi State. Like, there's just all these things that people are looking at, and like, I think that they thought this would just maybe blow over and the rest of the conference would fall in line. But outside the Pac-12, everybody's ready to go. And so I can't sit here and guarantee you that, Big 12, SEC, and ACC are going to play 10 games this year, but I know they're certainly going to try like heck to get it done. And I think people up here are starting to realize that, and they're beginning to push back to see if they can make a change.
Do you think that that's a realistic possibility?
I think it's a long shot. I wouldn't say that there's no possibility. I wouldn't say there's no chance. So there's hope here, and people are going to push really hard. It might even come to the removal of Kevin Warren, who's been on the job less than a year.
Wow.
The problem is that there's a delineation in the Big Ten. And when you're down in the SEC, you don't really have it. Everybody really is all in on football for the most part. Whereas up here, there's a handful of schools that I think didn't really understand what it meant to their region of the country. And then you have schools like Maryland and Rutgers who are just kind of along for the ride as it is, and they're not really trying to win, and they're not trying to put as much money behind it. And so that's where it comes into this tier system. And I think some of the schools at the top now, they're beginning to realize the Ohio States, the Michigans, Penn States, obviously Nebraska, they talked about trying to find a way to play outside of it. They're beginning to push back, especially Ohio State, who thinks, hey, there's a shot at a national champion. So I've been on radio all across, obviously in my hometown here in Columbus. I do a show daily, but all throughout the Midwest. I'm telling people, you got a problem with this? Write your governor, write your senator, write your congressman, write your state reps. See if they can apply a little heat, because if you start applying to them and you can attribute the reason the season isn't happening to the lack of political will, well, then that might start to change the tune as these people want to get reelected. Because the presidents, and Kevin Warren, they're making their salary anyway. They don't care. But if you start to get some people above them that might direct funding, now that might start to have a bigger issue with it.
As a player, I don't know if you can put yourself back in the mindset of being a college football player, but as best you can, how would you be feeling or reacting right now?
Well, the good news is before all this, I'd go over and work out with those guys every morning. So in my mind, even though I'm 37 and my body feels like it's 57, I still think that I'm a player at times.
Sure.
And try to run with those guys and do all that. And right now, I talked to actually a friend of mine. I know his dad real well, and he's playing at Rutgers. He's playing at Ohio State. And those guys, they're just shocked. And a lot of these guys, they gave up. The thing that bothers them the most is they gave up their entire summer of trying to do it the right way. Didn't go out, didn't socialize, went to the facilities, worked out, and did some classes online or whatever it was, and they sacrificed a couple months of their life for the hopes of being able to sacrifice a couple more and compete. And so they're upset. They're angry. They felt like they were lied to, because in reality, they did a great job. The numbers are really good outside of some initial spikes, and that speaks to the responsibility and the desire for most of these kids, not just in the Big Ten, but across college football, to want to play. So they're upset. They want to play. They understand the risk. Their parents understand the risk. And the risks really for them are very mild, given the fact of what they do anyway. And you're going to go out there and run 20 miles an hour into another full-grown human being.
Bobby Carpenter is our guest. He's on Twitter at BCarp3. Y'all give him a follow. You can see him on Get Up on ESPN, hear him on ESPN Radio. He's also daily mornings there on 97.1 The Fan in Columbus, Ohio. What do you think, Bobby, if you even allowed yourself to conceptualize what the potential long-term effect would be on Big Ten football programs if there is no season played in this fall?
I think there could be some recruiting issues coming up. I don't think there's going to be some mass exodus, transfer thing that's going to happen, because most of the schools are all full at this point. And then you'd have to get into the NCAA waiver Plinko board to see if you could get immediate eligibility. I don't know how that.
I love that visual. Oh my God, that's a great analogy.
Exactly. It is, because you put your name in at the top and you have no idea. It's play, no play. But I think that, in everybody, the 85 scholarships, that's mostly fixed. There might be a couple spots. But I think recruiting, assuming, the rest of the other three conferences play, you can sit there and say, hey, you know what? We know what we value. We put our money where our mouth is. We did it in a safe and responsible way, and we planned and prepared to make sure we could get that done. And so really the only schools that are competing for guys big time in the South, your Ohio State, Penn State, maybe Michigan. It could impact that a little bit, especially Ohio State that's done such a good job down there recruiting for a long time. And I know that, Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, those guys would probably be happy to use this as ammunition.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that those guns are loaded right now out on the recruiting trail, and that will be a fascinating thing to follow as it goes along. Last thing before I let you go, and your time appreciated. What if I asked you to kind of peer into the crystal ball? What do you think is realistic that's going to happen here over the next, let's call it the next 30 days, to where if the SEC, ACC, Big 12 do kick off, does the angst continue to build there in the Midwest, and what happens if that does?
Oh, I would say the angst will continue to build tremendously, and it'll be torn because people in the Midwest, especially in Columbus, if you look at the ratings for most of the big games, I mean, It's usually right there behind, the two home teams. So people, they love to watch football. So you're happy that you're watching football, but it's kind of like living with your ex-wife and her husband. It's not exactly ideal. Like, you're going to be tortured through a life that you didn't get to live. And so I think that there's going to be that push and pull, but people are going to continue. The longer this thing goes, there's going to be a lot of anger. There's going to be a lot of resentment. It's going to manifest itself probably a little politically. Like, I guarantee you there'll be political figures that'll get involved because these are the biggest institutions in the state, just like they are in many of the states across the country. So it means a lot to a lot of people.
Bobby Carpenter, former Ohio State linebacker, former first-round draft pick. He's on Twitter at BCarp3. See him on ESPN and 97.1 The Fan there in Columbus. Man, I appreciate a couple of minutes. We'll keep in touch, all right?
Absolutely. Anytime you need me, I'm always welcome.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it very much. That is Bobby Carpenter, former Ohio State linebacker. I wanted some perspective today from the Big Ten because the SEC, the Pac-12 just doesn't care. I mean, you're not hearing peep out of the Pac-10, the Pac-12. They're just, I shouldn't say they don't care, but there's a general acceptance. That's what Bobby said that the Big Ten hasn't gotten to. The Pac-12, there's acceptance. I mean, you're just not hearing this really out of any schools in the Pac-12. I keep saying Pac-10. But the Big Ten, they're very much pushing back. And I will be fascinated to see where this goes because you've got attorneys involved, and it's not like it's just a couple of people chirping. The players' parents, administrators. I mean, y'all, let us get to September 26th and let the SEC, ACC, Big 12, let them tee it up and kick it off in Ohio State and Michigan State and Purdue and Northwestern and Penn State are all sitting at home. I mean, heads will roll. There's no other way to say it. Heads will roll. It's after further review. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet, Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey, and Lafayette. Online, theantiagingclinics.com. Hey, Brain, have you gotten any tattoos that weren't like drunken spring break tattoos?
Interestingly enough, 2015, the Mets were in the World Series.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
It was Batman, the pitcher.
Do what?
Batman. There's a guy they called Batman, the pitcher, Harvey.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I had a bet with a friend of mine, Dan, that the Mets would outlast the Royals, and ended up having to get the logo on my right bicep.
You got a Royals logo.
Crown and everything.
On the right bicep.
Couldn't just be the KC.
Oh.
Had to have the full-on crown.
You got the full-on crown Royals logo, huh?
Had it.
Had
Past tense.
Oh, had it. What happened?
Well, I got the Pico de Gallo.
Oh, no, not the Pico de Gallo. It's a Pico Way. The Pico Way laser tattoo removal. Yeah, Pico de Gallo, I think, is a meal.
When in Rome.
Yeah, well, that doesn't really apply here. I don't think you're using it correctly. Pico Way laser tattoo removal at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. 20% off all through the month of August. If you have the Kansas City Royals crown from 2015, like Brain, or another unsightly tattoo that you want to be rid of, Pico Way laser tattoo removal, 20% off all this month. Fewer treatments, virtually pain-free. The Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet, Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey, and Lafayette. And online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. Otter Locks is next, and I am fascinated to have Jimmy on because there are some things that have just floored me Why is Kentucky and Auburn week 1, September 26th, why was there no line on that game? And what am I looking at with these win totals? LSU, 6.5? Bama, 7.5? Like, something just doesn't jive here, and I want Odd's take on it, so we'll do that when we come back for Auto Lock. Stick around.
AFR.
Love telling you about Carriages in Bocage because I love telling you about how you can upgrade that wardrobe. You need that sport coat or that suit, that dress shirt, necktie to look good for that meeting, that business meeting, or just to look good for that summer outing. Carriages in Bocage. Names and brands that you know and love, carriagesbr.com. Carriagesbr.com. If it's names and brands like Peter Millar or Samuel Son, they got you covered over at Carriages in Bocage. Pick out that dress shirt, that necktie, that sport coat, the pair of slacks. Get it custom made even from their in-house tailor. It's Carriages in Bocage. And they've got officially licensed LSU gear. The newest arrival, a Johnny O brand polo, sort of a lavender color, lighter purple, and it's got the LSU National Championship logo, which is just gorgeous, on the left breast. Check it out at their Instagram, online at carriagesbr.com, or go see our friends where they've been for 30 years in the Courtyard in Bocage Village. Carriages in Bocage.
Built it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
This is a house call. This is a test result. This is a prescription refill. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare. Start your virtual visit today at Auctioner Health.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Do we see the confetti fall? Be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call for a free quote to see how much you can save. 293-0450. After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
As always, we appreciate our title sponsor every Tuesday, Insurance Network of Louisiana. Better coverage, less money. Let them shop for free to get you better coverage for less money at Insurance Network of Louisiana. LAinsurance.net, LAinsurance.net. All right. Time for Auto Locks.
Otterlocks.
Jimmy Ott joins us as he does every evening about this time. Otter, how are you?
Right down the street, Dozy Place.
Hey,
right down the street.
Sorry,
from
the
Guarantee headquarters.
We had a phone issue, so I just heard right down the street. Where are you tonight?
At Dozy Place, right down the street at Government.
Yes, sir.
I thought you were going to say you just turned around last night at Rafino's, but you know what? I do recall. Didn't you start running the board for Condon? Is that right?
Well, actually, my radio career began in May of 2003 at then Citadel Broadcasting, where I was a promotions intern. And then I was a producer for Ed Bugs on 1300 AM WIBR, the Capital's Big Talk.
Oh, okay. Because I could have sworn that Condon, any day but yesterday. I thought it did.
Any day but today would be great, Otter. I'd love to see, but any day but today would be great for you. Hey, really, I'm fascinated by this. We've been talking about it a lot today. BetOnline released their win totals for the SEC. LSU at 6.5. What am I looking at here?
Wow, that is extremely low for a team that's got 6 layups and 4 50-50 games, without a doubt. You know, that's just on the 10 games that are scheduled now. We know that, so they cannot put win totals. Wow, I love LSU over on 6.5. I really do.
Bama?
Yeah.
Bama at 7.5. It opened at 7. It got bet up to 7.5.
Bama, that surprises me. I thought Bama was going to be at 3. I know it came out at like a pick 2 in the summer, and that was with expectations that it would be smaller crowds. But the thing is,
Otter, win totals.
Oh, win total.
Win
Bama,
totals.
This is not right. Those aren't right.
This is from BetOnline. I'm looking at it. OddsShark has Bama at 8. BetOnline's got them at 7.5.
Okay, let me know if you can get down on that on BetOnline. Somebody show us a screenshot of an actual receipt,
Jimmy,
of over 6.5 or over 7.5.
Bama was 7. It got bet up to 7.5. Georgia was at 6.5. It got bet up to 7. I'm stunned. Like, I don't know. Someone called off air and asked the question. This is what I wanted your opinion. Like, if you're as floored as I am, that's validating. But so is this maybe the possibility of what if they're banking on they don't get a game or 2 in?
No, but Matt, you can't have like win totals for Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
They have to play 58 of the 60 scheduled games.
Got it. That makes sense.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. There's no way with only 10 games, it's not going to say all games must be played. And they actually put out some some of the futures that before all of this, about a month and a half ago, that said that the games had to be completed by March 31st. I think I said that on your show.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just think that's off. I think that's projections. I would be shocked that they are taking wagers at those numbers right now. Really am. Because LSU should be 8 or 8.5.
All right. Dave Mason, the BetOnline.ag brand manager, told AL.com, action pushed the win totals up for Bama and Georgia. The Tide went from 7.5 to 8, and Georgia went from 7 to 7.5.
Okay, well, guess what?
This is the guy who was being quoted.
Right. I'm now saying, so guess what, Mr. Manager? Expect more action on Georgia, Alabama, and LSU.
Right?
Yes, load up while you can, yes, because those are bad numbers.
It's terrible.
Bad numbers.
All right, what about What about the week 1 lines? What did you see there? What stood out?
I think that, we settled in at about 28, 29 on that wide discrepancy on A&M Vandy.
Yeah.
I had it 24. I saw some projections as high as 37, and I saw some lines released at 28.5 because that is Vanderbilt being Vanderbilt, and that they're just projected to have the most opt-outs.
Yeah.
And then so that's what that is. There's a lot of unknowns, and opt-outs are like injuries right now. And if you have a bunch of them, it will move the line enough. But that's the biggest one that I saw that was really off. Mom were right. I saw LSU come out today at 18.5. Yeah. I had 18. Florida was a point and a half higher than I had. I'm looking at 10.5 today. I had it at 9.
Okay.
Everything else was pretty close. I had Tennessee 3. I saw them at -1. Tennessee will definitely get that to closer to 3, but closer to game time. But that's what I'm looking at right
Otter, 10 seconds. Give me a pick for tonight.
I have to mention this, though. Bloody Monday. Yesterday, favorites go 20-1. Favorites went 20-1 against the spread yesterday in Las Vegas.
All right.
And the pick tonight, Detroit.
All right, Detroit. Thank you, Otter. Go see him. Go see him at those. Brain, what did you learn?
Runs are scored by crossing home plate.
Paul, what did you learn?
Nick Saban thinks spring football is JV football.
All right.
5 seconds. What'd you learn?
I don't have time.
AFR.
Get on down. We're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. For a guy that loves to tell you about all the years he spent in radio, he still can't get 10 seconds. Shawbills. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com to find the location nearest you. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they will treat you like family. I love Shawbills because they have been locally owned and operated for 50 years. So many companies come and go. They get swallowed up by bigger companies. But Shawbills, they opened their doors. Mr. Charlie opened the doors 52 years ago, and they've kept churning along. They've expanded patiently, and they serve much of South Louisiana. They remain locally owned and operated, family owned and operated, and they treat you like family because that's the way Mr. Charlie wanted it. ShawBillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service, name brand tires at wholesale prices. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills! We keep your...
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup.